Good morning, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen. A very warm welcome to the 7th KKU International Engineering Conference 2021 with the themes of the 21st Century Technology and Innovations for Socio-Economic Changes. My name is Panithat Suriyathanaphat, a full-time lecturer at the Department of Industrial Engineering, Khon Universities. What an absolute pleasure for me to be here with you all this morning. On behalf of the organizer of the KKU Ienc 2021, we are especially proud of having you and hosting this conference. This conference is held every 2 years by the Faculty of Engineering, Khon Universities. KKU Ienc is the conference previously known as Technology and Innovation for Sustainable Development. The conference is then renamed to indicate affiliation to honor Khon Universities. The aims are to be an international forum for technological advances and research, also to provide opportunities for the researchers all over the world to exchange new knowledge and to create linkage among the participants for mutual benefits. We would like to express our sincere gratitude to our sponsors, including Khon Universities and the Electricity Generating Authority of Thailand, or EGAT. Without you, we will not have this successful event. Well, before we get started, I would like to inform you about today's program. In a few minutes, we will have an opening ceremony, and after that, there will be special talks from our keynote speakers, including Mr. Kopchai Sangsithi Sawat, the Permanent Secretary of the Ministry of Industry of Thailand, Professor Supachai Patumnakul, the Deputy Permanent Secretary of the Ministry of Higher Education, Science, Research and Innovation of Thailand, Professor Hideyuki Sawada from Waseda Universities from Japan, and Professor Chisan Lin from National Kaohsiung University of Science and Technology from Taiwan. We also have a number of invited speakers, including Professor Ekalat Khan from the United States, Associate Professor Daniel Cheng from Hong Kong, Dr. Vikram Vacharakup from Thailand, Dr. Stephen Bowman from the United States, Professor Jean-Christophe Lapierre from France, Associate Professor Juliette Henriette from France, Professor Asushi Fukuda from Japan, Dr. Keson Pechlad Weaver from the United Kingdom, and Professor Yoso X. Starner from Germany. And you can join our programs all day. And now I think it's the time for the opening. It's my pleasure to call upon Associate Professor Ratchapon Santivarakon, the Dean of the Faculty of Engineering, Khon Universities, to give a reporting speech about the conference. Well, ladies and gentlemen, please join me in welcoming Associate Professor Ratchapon Santivarakon.
Associate Professor Chanchai Phanthong Riyakul, President Khon University, Mr. Kopchai Sangsithi Sawat, Permanent Secretary, Ministry of Industry, Thailand, Professor Supachai Patumnakul, Deputy Permanent Secretary, Ministry of Higher Education, Science, Research and Innovation, Thailand, Professor Hideyuki Sawada, Waseda University, Japan, and Professor Chisan Lin, National Kaohsiung University of Science and Technology, Taiwan. Distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, on behalf of the organizing committee, I would like to extend my warmest welcome to all speakers and participants of the 7th KKU International Engineering Conference 2021 with the theme of the 21st Century Technology and Innovation for Socio-Economic Changes. Approaching the 21st century, there are several changes in many aspects, such as physical, biological, sociological, and environmental. Therefore, it's necessary to prepare ourselves to encounter these challenges. As one of the country's best engineering schools in the country, the Faculty of Engineering, KKU, realized that the knowledge in engineering plays an essential role in the ongoing changes. Thus, we have created this conference as a platform for academics, researchers, and the public to exchange ideas and update knowledge, which will be a guideline for developing crucial skills in the 21st century. The organizing committee are truly honored to have 4 keynote lectures, also feature 9 invited speakers from various countries, including USA, Germany, France, Japan, given by the most prominent figures in the fields. Due to the COVID-19 outbreak, the conference will only take place in the virtual environment. However, organizing committee strong belief that all participants of the Ienc 2021 will be fulfilled by sharing the facts and the truth in science and technology for the innovation in the future. This conference would not have been possible without the support of the sponsors, including Khon University and the Electricity Generating Authority of Thailand. I sincerely thank all the reviewers of the conference papers, every member of the organizing committee who tirelessly works and supervise the organization of this conference. Finally, I thank all the participants who have made the effort to attend and contribute to this event. I wish you all every success in this conference and in life. At this auspicious moment, I beg leave to invite Associate Professor Chanchai Pantong Riyakun, President of Khon University, to address the assembly and declare the international conference open. Thank you very much.
Mr. Kopchai Sangsithi Sawat, Permanent Secretary, Ministry of Industry, Thailand. Professor Supachai Patumnakul, Deputy Permanent Secretary, Ministry of Higher Education, Science, Research and Innovation, Thailand. Professor Hideyuki Sawada, Waseda University, Japan. Professor Chitran Lin, National Kaohsiung University of Science and Technology, Taiwan. Associate Professor Ratchapol Santi Warakon, Dean of the Faculty of Engineering, Khon University. Distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, I am pleased to welcome you all to the 7th KKU International Engineering Conference 2021, KKU Ienc 2021, with the theme of the 21st Century Technology and Innovation for Socio-Economic Changes. As people try to keep up with the fast pace in today's changing world, new discoveries have to be made. While we are entering the 21st century, I believe that technology and innovation are very important to improve our quality of life. This conference is organized to be a venue for students, scholars, researchers, and engineers to gather many new ideas. These results will be presented and exchanged to enhance the scientific development. However, due to the COVID-19 pandemic, the conference has been shifted to a virtual format only to ensure the safety of all participants. On behalf of Khon University, I offer my full support to the conference. I would like to thank all keynote speakers, all invited speakers, sponsor Ienc, organizing team and staff who made this conference possible and successful. Furthermore, I would cordially like to extend my warmest welcome to all participants of the 7th KKU International Engineering Conference 2021, KKU Ienc 2021. Last but not least, I hope that when the pandemic has relieved, we could host the next KKU Ienc conference in Khon once again in the next 2 years. And now, the auspicious moments had arrived. I hereby declare the 7th KKU International Engineering Conference 2021 officially open. And I thank you all for your participation in this conference. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much, Mr. President. Next, we will invite our keynote speakers to give a talk. Each speaker has 40 minutes for a talk and 5 more minutes for taking questions. And now it's my pleasure to invite the first keynote speakers, Mr. Gopchai Sangsithi Sawat. Well, Mr. Gopchai Sangsithi Sawat received a bachelor degree in mechanical engineering and a master degree in business administration, both from Khon Kaen universities. Currently, he holds a position as the permanent secretary of the Ministry of Industry of Thailand. He will give a talk on the topic, Direction of Thai Industrial Development in the Digital Age. Well, ladies and gentlemen, please join me in welcoming Mr. Gopchai Sangsithi Sawat.
ครับสวัสดีครับผมกอบชัยสังสิทธิสวัสดิ์ปลัดกระทรวงอุตสาหกรรมครับวันนี้ได้รับเชิญมาร่วมประชุมวิชาการนานาชาตินะครับในหัวข้อเรื่องทิศทางการพัฒนาอุตสาหกรรมไทยในยุคดิจิทัลจริงๆต้องขอนำเรียนต่อผู้เข้าร่วมสัมมนาทุกท่านว่าเนื่องด้วยผมติดภารกิจในช่วงวันที่12ที่มีการสัมมนานะครับโดยนัยยะของการเตรียมการสัมมนาเชิงวิชาการครั้งนี้มีความตั้งใจสูงมากที่อยากเข้าร่วมเสวนาแล้วก็ได้รับฟังความคิดเห็นได้แชร์นะครับไม่อยากบอกว่าครั้งนี้จะเป็นการบรรยายนะครับอยากจะนำเรียนต่อทุกท่านว่าอยากจะมาแชร์และนำเรียนทุกท่านว่าทิศทางในการพัฒนาอุตสาหกรรมไทยในอนาคตเนี่ยนะครับควรจะไปในทิศทางใดทางกระทรวงอุตสาหกรรมในฐานะหน่วยงานซึ่งมีบทบาทในการส่งเสริมพัฒนาเศรษฐกิจอุตสาหกรรมของประเทศไทยอยากจะนำเรียนว่าเราได้มีการประชุมผู้บริหารเชิงบูรณาการแล้วก็ได้มีการปรับแผนนโยบายต่างๆมาตลอดเวลา 4-5 ปีนี้นะครับต้องขอนำเรียนว่าผมในฐานะผู้นำในฝากฝั่งของข้าราชการประจำนะครับได้มีการวางแผนและพูดคุยกับข้าราชการทั่วไปมาโดยตลอดขออนุญาตเท้าความไปถึงช่วงปี 2560 ซึ่งประเทศไทยประกาศนโยบายว่าจะเป็น Thailand 4.0 นะครับต้องขอนำเรียนว่าในยุคนั้นในบทบาทของกระทรวงอุตสาหกรรมก็มีบทบาทที่จะต้องพัฒนาภาคธุรกิจอุตสาหกรรมเช่นกันเราได้คิดแผนคิดนโยบายออกมาเป็น4 tool 4 เครื่องมือนะกับ1 strategic นะครับในยุค 2560 เนี่ย4 tool ที่อยากจะเอ่ยถึงก็คือเรื่องของ IT หรือ Digital เป็น tool ที่1นะครับ tool ที่2ก็เรื่องของ Automation tool ที่3ก็เป็นเรื่องของ Robotics แล้วก็ tool ตัวสุดท้ายตัวที่4ก็เรื่องของInnovation หรือนวัตกรรมแล้วตบท้ายด้วยเรื่องของ1 strategic ในเรื่องของการสร้างคัตเตอร์ให้กับภาคอุตสาหกรรมซึ่งเป็นคัตเตอร์เดียวกันเช่นคัตเตอร์ในยุคปัจจุบันที่มีความสำคัญมีนัยสำคัญมากก็คัตเตอร์เครื่องมือแพทย์คัตเตอร์อุตสาหกรรมอาหารเพื่ออนาคตคัตเตอร์เรื่องของฮาร์ดแวร์เพื่อดิจิตอลอะไรอย่างเงี้ยนะครับก็ต้องนำเรียนผู้เข้าร่วมสัมมนาทุกท่านว่าในยุคนั้นอยากจะนำเรียนว่าเรื่อง IT ดิจิตอลเนี่ยเรานำเข้ามาแตะและบอกภาคอุตสาหกรรมว่าท่านจะต้องนำดิจิตอลนำ IT เข้ามาพัฒนาตั้งแต่ต้นน้ำกลางน้ำและปลายน้ำในส่วนของต้นน้ำไล่เรียงตั้งแต่สินค้าวัตถุดิบนะจะต้องถูกกำกับดูแลบริหารจัดการใน warehouse ให้ดี first in ต้อง first out ต้องมีระบบเรื่องของซอฟต์แวร์เรื่อง desktop management เข้ามาดูแลมากำกับในเรื่องของกลางน้ำก็โปรแกรมต่างๆที่ในการสร้าง potential สร้างศักยภาพในการลดต้นทุนการผลิตก็ต้องถูกนำมาใช้ในเรื่องของปลายน้ำมีในเรื่องของ IT มากมายที่มาใช้ไม่ว่าจะต้องไล่เรียงตั้งแต่e-catalog นะครับทำเว็บไซต์จนถึงทำ e-commerce สร้างโปรแกรม matching ในการส่งเสริมการตลาดนะครับแล้วสุดท้ายจริงๆเรื่องของ e-logistics ที่จะทำให้ภาคธุรกิจอุตสาหกรรมสามารถลดต้นทุนเรื่องโลจิสติกส์ได้นะครับในทูตัวที่1เรื่อง IT คือกระทรวงอุตสาหกรรมมีบทบาทในเรื่องของนำ IT มาใช้ตามนี้ในเรื่องของ automation เราก็มีการ MOU กับหน่วยงานข้ามชาติไม่ว่าจะเป็นของเจโทกระทรวงเมติญี่ปุ่นในการนำทูตัวนี้นะระบบ automation นำมาขยายผลให้ภาคธุรกิจอุตสาหกรรมได้ไปใช้แล้วก็ในเรื่องของโรบอติกก็เช่นกันต้องขออนุญาตBig Brother ซึ่งมา MOU กับเราก็คือบริษัทเดนโซคอร์ปอเรชั่นของญี่ปุ่นได้มาเป็นบิ๊กพาร์ทเนอร์นะครับได้มีการมอบระบบโรบอติกมาเป็นระบบ demonstration ในการสาธิตการใช้ให้ภาคธุรกิจอุตสาหกรรมมากมายและกระจายไปยังศูนย์ส่งเสริมตามภาคต่างๆของประเทศได้มีการขยายผลในภาคธุรกิจอุตสาหกรรมหันมาปรับการใช้โรบอติกควบกับออโตเมชันทำให้เพิ่มศักยภาพลดต้นทุนการผลิตให้กับภาคธุรกิจอุตสาหกรรมในส่วนตัวสุดท้ายซึ่งต้องขอนำเรียนผู้เข้าร่วมสัมมนาทุกท่านทราบก็คือเราเห็นความสำคัญของเรื่อง innovation เรื่อง R&D มากกระทรวงอุตสาหกรรมมีการไปMOU ร่วมกับหน่วยงานต่างๆของกระทรวงอวนะฮะในการนำผลงานวิจัยและพัฒนาออกมาขยายผลเรามีโปรเจกต์ที่ดีๆมากโปรเจกต์หนึ่งเรียกว่า Research Connect นะครับเรานำผู้ที่เป็นเจ้าของผลงานวิจัยและพัฒนาขึ้นเวทีในการที่จะบรรยายเล่าถึงผลประโยชน์ของการนำผลงานวิจัยและพัฒนาที่เกิดขึ้นนำไปใช้ประโยชน์ไปขยายผลผมกำลังจะบอกว่าผลงานวิจัยและพัฒนาของหน่วยงานในสังกัดของกระทรวงอวไม่ว่าจะเป็นววชสวทชหรือไซปาร์คตามมหาลัยต่างๆเนี่ยบางครั้งไม่ได้ถูกขยายผลเก็บอยู่ในหิ้งในลิ้นชักแต่เราได้ไปขอร้องให้ออกมาเผยแพร่ออกมาขยายผลเรามีเวทีเสวนาที่เชิญภาคธุรกิจอุตสาหกรรมจากสภาอุตสาหกรรมแห่งประเทศไทยหอการค้าแห่งประเทศไทยสมาพันธ์ SME และภาคธุรกิจอุตสาหกรรมที่ให้ความสนใจนะครับมีการเผยแพร่ไปก่อนพอจับในเวทีสัมมนาก็มีการขยายผลในงานให้มีการแมทชิ่งนำผลงานวิจัยและนำไปขยายผลด้วยการซื้อการแชร์หรือการ joint venture แชร์ benefit เมื่อผลงานวิจัยพัฒนาล้อนสู่ตลาดแล้วนะครับเราทำอย่างนี้ไป 3-4 ครั้งในช่วงระหว่างปี61-62ได้ผลงานวิจัยพัฒนาที่ถูกนำไปขยายผลมากกว่า50ผลงานวิจัยนะครับตรงนี้นี่เองที่ทำให้กระทรวงอุตสาหกรรมเนี่ยได้มีบทบาทในการที่จะไป MOU กับผมได้ไป MOU กับท่านปลัดกระทรวงอวนะฮะแล้วก็ในปี2563ต่อเนื่องไปเราก็จะมีโครงการ Research Connect นำมาใช้ประโยชน์ได้ที่ผมเท้าความไปถึงเรื่อง Thailand 4.0 จนถึงปัจจุบันหลังจากนั้นมาเนี่ยเราก็คิดว่าการที่นักธุรกิจอุตสาหกรรมจะเป็นสตาร์ทอัพที่ดีได้จะนำโปรดักต์ใหม่ๆเข้าไปล้อนสู่ตลาดได้จะต้องเกิดจากการที่มีตลาดนะอย่างที่ผมนำเกิดไปข้างต้นแล้วว่าเราต้องใช้ตลาดด้านนวัตกรรมนำอุตสาหกรรมไทยนะครับอันนี้นี่เองคือสิ่งที่กระทรวงอุตสาหกรรมอยากจะบอกทุกท่านว่าเราอยากสร้างสตาร์ทอัพอย่างมีนัยยะมีระบบอยากให้เขามีตลาดในการที่จะผลิตสินค้าขึ้นมาตัวหนึ่งต้องมีตลาดก่อนอันนี้คือสิ่งที่เราคิดและเราทำนะครับทีนี้ในเรื่องของดิจิทัลทรานส์ฟอร์เมชันที่กระทรวงประกาศนโยบายไปว่าจะต้องให้นักธุรกิจอุตสาหกรรมทั้งหมดเข้าสู่ระบบดิจิทัลทรานส์ฟอร์เมชันต้องมีการเปลี่ยนแปลงในการที่นำดิจิทัลมาใช้ในระบบธุรกิจอุตสาหกรรมก็ต้องขอไปแตะนโยบายของรัฐบาลนิดหนึ่งก็คือว่าด้วยที่ว่ากระทรวงอุตสาหกรรมเนี่ยเป็นหนึ่งในองค์ประกอบของคณะกรรมการนะครับขับเคลื่อน 5G แห่งชาติซึ่งจริงๆเนี่ยมีคำสั่งสำนักนายกรัฐมนตรีเนี่ยลงตั้งแต่วันที่13พฤษภาคม2563ท่านนายกรัฐมนตรีเนี่ยนะที่เป็นประธานคณะกรรมการขับเคลื่อน 5G แห่งชาตินะครับก็ได้มีจัดตั้งให้มีการประชุมไปแล้ว1ครั้งเมื่อปี63นะครับ63เราประชุมไปครั้งแรกเมื่อวันที่14สิงหา2563นะครับแล้วก็ตอนนั้นนั่นเองอยากนำเรียนผู้เข้าร่วมสัมมนาทุกท่านว่าประเทศไทยเนี่ยประกาศนโยบายเรื่อง 5G แห่งชาตินะครับในการที่กำหนดยุทธศาสตร์สำคัญนะครับในเรื่องของ5G แห่งชาติเนี่ยเป็น4ยุทธศาสตร์ที่สำคัญยุทธศาสตร์ที่1ก็เรื่องของการพัฒนานะครับโครงข่าย 5G ให้มีประสิทธิภาพสูงตรงนี้ก็จะมุ่งมั่นให้ครอบคลุมโครงข่าย 5G ไปทั้งประเทศแล้วก็ให้บริการเครือข่ายให้ครอบคลุมไปทุกภาคส่วนนะครับในยุทธศาสตร์ที่2คือขับเคลื่อนเศรษฐกิจดิจิทัลผ่านเทคโนโลยี 5G ตรงนี้จะเป็นเรื่องที่กระทรวงอุตสาหกรรมต้องนำยุทธศาสตร์นี้ไปขับเคลื่อนให้ได้ไป implement ให้ได้นะครับเป้าหมายคือพัฒนาด้านอุตสาหกรรมด้านการเกษตรการเงินการขนส่งการท่องเที่ยวการค้าปลีกค้าส่งนะอันนี้คือสิ่งซึ่งยุทธศาสตร์ที่2จะเกี่ยวข้องโดยตรงกับกระทรวงอุตสาหกรรมเราก็ได้มีการไปประชุมกลุ่มเล็กๆในการที่จะนำยุทธศาสตร์นี้ไปแปลงเป็นแอคชั่นแพลนนะครับโครงการแผนงานในการที่จะปฏิบัติส่งเสริมนะครับ ก็อย่างที่ผมนำเรียนไปแล้วว่าเรามี tool ที่จะใช้นำไอทีดิจิตอลไปสนับสนุนตั้งแต่ต้นน้ำกลางน้ำปลายน้ำให้ภาคอุตสาหกรรมตลอดจนเรื่องของโลจิสติกส์นะครับยุทธศาสตร์ที่3ในของคณะกรรมการ 5G นี่ก็จะเป็นเรื่องของการสร้างสังคมคุณภาพนะครับก็คือให้มุ่งเน้นการพัฒนาคุณภาพชีวิตของประชาชนลดความเหลื่อมล้ำแล้วก็ไปสนับสนุนเรื่องการศึกษาสร้างเมืองอัจฉริยะสาธารณสุขและภาคบริการประชาชนนะครับส่วนยุทธศาสตร์สุดท้ายยุทธศาสตร์ที่4ก็เรื่องการพัฒนาระบบนิเวศให้พร้อมกับการใช้ประโยชน์เทคโนโลยี 5G อันนี้ก็จะมุ่งเน้นสร้างระบบดิจิตอลเพื่อส่งเสริมทุกภาคส่วนให้นำ 5G ไปใช้เชิงพาณิชย์มีการพัฒนาส่งเสริมสร้างแพลตฟอร์มส่งเสริมบุคลากรต่อยอดงานวิจัยกำกับดูแลความมั่นคงความปลอดภัยของโครงข่าย 5G นะครับที่กล่าวนำมาทั้งหมดนี้ก็มันก็จะมาเชื่อมโยงกับที่ผมกล่าวไว้ข้างต้นว่ากระทรวงอุตสาหกรรมคิดยังไงกับเรื่องการนำดิจิทัลทรานส์ฟอร์เมชันมาใช้ทีนี้ผมอยากจะโฟกัสลงมาในเรื่องของกระทรวงอุตสาหกรรมคิดเรื่องสำคัญเรื่องหนึ่งซึ่งเกี่ยวข้องกับเรื่องของดิจิทัลทรานส์ฟอร์เมชันหรือ 5G จริงๆต้องขอนำเรียนว่ากระทรวงอุตสาหกรรมเนี่ยมีการรับนโยบายรัฐบาลในการที่จะลงไปพัฒนาโฟกัสลงไปพัฒนาเซกเตอร์ต่างๆในภาคอุตสาหกรรมนะครับจริงๆต้องขอนำเรียนว่า 5G ที่จะลงไปพัฒนาที่เราเน้นมากๆในช่วงนี้นะต้องขอนำเรียนว่าถ้า 5G เพื่ออุตสาหกรรมเนี่ยเรามุ่งเน้นลงไปในเรื่องของเครื่องมือแพทย์หรือ medical device ต้องขอนำเรียนว่าเราสร้างคลัสเตอร์เครื่องมือแพทย์แล้วก็อุปกรณ์ตลอดจนยาในเชิงสาธารณสุขก่อนที่จะเกิดโควิด -19 อีกนะครับต้องขอนำเรียนว่าเราจับมือบูรณาการกับภาคเอกชนไม่ว่าจะเป็นสภาอุตสาหกรรมแห่งประเทศไทยสภาหอการค้าไทยในการที่สร้างคลัสเตอร์มีกลุ่มอุตสาหกรรมเครื่องมือแพทย์เกิดขึ้นในองค์กรเหล่านั้นแล้วก็ช่วยกันคิดช่วยกันทำในการพัฒนาเครื่องมือแพทย์ถามว่าในอนาคตดิจิทัลทรานส์ฟอร์เมชันจะเข้าไปเกี่ยวข้องเรื่องนี้ไงในเรื่องของเครื่องมือแพทย์ต้องบอกว่าปัจจุบันนี้เราใช้ดิจิทัลทรานส์ฟอร์เมชันเข้าไปพัฒนาเราใช้ IoT ใช้ AI เข้าไปช่วยในการผลิตให้เกิดการสร้างโปรดักต์ที่มีศักยภาพขึ้นปัจจุบันนี้ในวงการแพทย์เริ่มมีการผ่าตัดโดยใช้ระบบ IoT มีการลำเลียงโลจิสติกโดยยวดยานส่งผ่านเครื่องมือต่างๆโดยไม่ต้องใช้คนขับนะครับอันนี้คือสิ่งที่อยากจะนำเรียนเบื้องต้นในอีกเซกเตอร์หนึ่งก็เรื่องของ5G สำหรับฮาร์ดแวร์เพื่อในการพัฒนาในเรื่องดิจิทัลต้องขอนำเรียนว่าประเทศไทยมีบริษัทยักษ์ใหญ่มากมายขออนุญาตเอ่ยนามคือเดลต้าในการที่จะสร้างฮาร์ดแวร์สำหรับซัพพอร์ตในเรื่องของดิจิทัลหรือแอปพลิเคชันต่างๆนะครับอันนี้เราก็มีการวางแผนที่จะไปบูรณาการกับภาคเอกชนเหล่านี้ในการที่จะให้มีการเตรียมการฮาร์ดแวร์สำหรับซอฟต์แวร์ในเรื่องของ 5G แล้วก็ประเทศไทยมีศักยภาพมากที่จะเป็นหับในเรื่องนี้อีกเซกเตอร์อื่นๆก็อาจจะนำเรียนทุกท่านทราบว่าเรามีความคิดที่จะพัฒนาในเซกเตอร์ของอุตสาหกรรมอาหารเพื่ออนาคตจริงๆอุตสาหกรรมอาหารเพื่ออนาคตก็ต้องบอกว่าในเชิงชีวภาพเนี่ยเราได้มีการประชุมบูรณาการกับภาคเอกชนหลายส่วนในการที่จะผลิตอาหารเพื่อชีวภาพหรืออาหารออร์แกนิกเรามีการวางแผนให้อุตสาหกรรมอาหารเนี่ยสามารถรองรับที่จะเป็นครัวของโลกตามนโยบายประเทศไทยนะฮะที่เคยมีมาในอดีตแล้วก็ยังคิดที่จะต่อยอดเรื่องนี้ทำเรื่องนี้ต่อไปนะครับขอย้อนมาเรื่องกระทรวงอุตสาหกรรมมีการทำงานในเรื่องของดิจิทัลทรานส์ฟอร์เมชันอย่างไรบ้างจริงๆต้องขอนำเรียนว่าผมมีโอกาสที่จะไปโชว์เคสในการเข้าหลักสูตรของท่านนายกรัฐมนตรีหลักสูตรปยป.1 สำหรับปลัดกระทรวงหลายๆท่านที่เข้ามาอบรมแล้วก็ต้องทำเคสสตั๊ดดี้ให้รัฐบาลผมชูนโยบายในเรื่องของการที่จะพัฒนาBig Data ของกระทรวงอุตสาหกรรมจริงๆในเคสนั้นเราใช้ว่า Synergy for Success นะครับจริงๆกระทรวงอุตสาหกรรมขอนำเรียนว่ากระทรวงอุตสาหกรรมปัจจุบันนี้มีอยู่20หน่วยงานในสังกัดกระทรวงอุตสาหกรรมกระทรวงอุตสาหกรรมเนี่ยมีหน่วยงานหลักๆที่เป็นระดับกรมเนี่ยอยู่ทั้งหมด7กรมไล่เรียงตั้งแต่สำนักงานปลัดกระทรวงอุตสาหกรรมกรมโรงงานอุตสาหกรรมกรมส่งเสริมอุตสาหกรรมกรมอุตสาหกรรมพื้นฐานและการเหมืองแร่สำนักงานมาตรฐานผลิตภัณฑ์อุตสาหกรรมสำนักงานคณะกรรมการอ้อยและน้ำตาลทราย แล้วก็หน่วยงานที่เป็นเสนาธิการคือสำนักงานเศรษฐกิจอุตสาหกรรมเป็นหน่วยงานที่7ในหน่วยงานทั้ง7หน่วยนี้เป็นหน่วยงานระดับกรมก็จะมีอธิบดีที่เป็นเจ้ากรมนะกำกับดูแลอยู่เรายังมีรัฐวิสาหกิจในสังกัดกระทรวงอุตสาหกรรม2รัฐวิสาหกิจก็คือการนิคมอุตสาหกรรมแห่งประเทศไทยธนาคารพัฒนาวิสาหกิจขนาดกลางและขนาดย่อมหรือที่เขาเรียกกันว่า SME D Bank นะครับก็จะมี2รัฐวิสาหกิจในสังกัดของกระทรวงอุตสาหกรรมแล้วก็ยังมีหน่วยงานซึ่งเป็นสถาบันเครือข่ายในกำกับดูแลของเรายกตัวอย่างเช่นสถาบันอาหารสถาบันไฟฟ้าอิเล็กทรอนิกส์สถาบันยานยนต์สถาบันพลาสติกสถาบันสิ่งทอแล้วก็ยังมีหน่วยงานในสังกัดของเราณขณะนี้ที่จะเข้ามาช่วยพัฒนาภาคธุรกิจอุตสาหกรรมรวมแล้วทั้งหมด20หน่วยงานปัจจุบันนี้ต้องขอนำเรียนตามข้อเท็จจริงเลยว่าข้อมูล Big Data ต่างๆในสังกัดหน่วยงานของเรายังไม่ได้มีการ connect รวมเป็นเนื้อเดียวกันผมยกตัวอย่างเช่นวันหนึ่งมีผู้ประกอบการทำหลอด LED นะครับผมยกตัวอย่างตั้งสมมติฐานว่ามีโรงงานที่เป็นชมรมทำหลอด LED อยู่ประมาณสักในฐานข้อมูลของกรมโรงงานอุตสาหกรรมและสำนักงานปลัดกระทรวงเนี่ยอยู่100โรงผลิตหลอด LED ได้10ล้านดวงอันนี้ดูเหมือนว่าฝั่งซัพพลายไซด์คิดว่าหลอด LED ที่ผลิตมา10ล้านดวงขายได้ทุกปีเนี่ยมันก็น่าจะเป็นใกล้เคียงบาลานซ์กับดีมานด์ไซด์ภาพความต้องการของตลาดแต่เหลือเชื่อว่าพอมีโปรเจกต์ใหญ่ๆซึ่งนักลงทุนจีนข้ามชาติมาลงทุนในประเทศไทยและปรากฏว่ามีโปรเจกต์ใหญ่ๆที่สร้างโรงงานสร้างสถานอาคารสิ่งปลูกสร้างและต้องใช้หลอด LED ปรากฏว่ายังมีอีกภาคส่วนหนึ่งคือเทรดเดอร์ซึ่งสามารถนำเข้าหลอด LED เหล่านี้ข้ามชาติมาโดยตรงจากผู้ผลิตต่างประเทศเช่นประเทศจีนนำเข้ามาปรากฏว่ามีโปรเจกต์ใหญ่ๆแบบนี้ถูกนำเข้ามาตามกฎหมายของสมอนะทำงานมาตรฐานการอุตสาหกรรมในมาตรา20-21 ทวีสามารถนำหลอด LED เข้ามาที่มีมาตรฐานเนี่ยตามมาตรฐานของประเทศไทยเข้ามาใช้ได้อีกยกตัวอย่างเช่นอีก2ล้านดวงนั่นแสดงว่าดีมานด์ไซด์ประเทศไทยไม่ใช่10ล้านดวงตามที่บริษัทผู้ผลิตหลอด LED ในประเทศไทยมีตัวเลขอยู่อันนี้เกิดจากการที่เราไม่ได้ connect Big Data ของหน่วยงานในสังกัดกระทรวงอุตสาหกรรมผมก็พยายามจะเชื่อมโยงสิ่งเหล่านี้นะครับให้เกิดขึ้นแล้วก็พยายามเฟสแรกพยายามจะเชื่อมหน่วยงานต่างๆของกระทรวงอุตสาหกรรมทั้ง20หน่วยนี้ให้เป็น Big Data ที่เป็นเนื้อเดียวกันแล้วเราจะมาวิเคราะห์ Demand Side Supply Side ในการที่จะไปสร้างประโยชน์ในฝั่งฝั่งการตลาดให้กับภาคธุรกิจอุตสาหกรรมนะครับผมอยากจะขอยกตัวอย่างอีกตัวอย่างหนึ่งก็คือเรื่องของถุงมือยางจริงๆผมรับนโยบายจากรองนายกรัฐมนตรีนะครับว่าประเทศไทยพอที่จะเป็นหับถุงมือยางได้ไหมเพราะประเทศไทยมีวัตถุดิบในเรื่องของน้ำยางโคตรหรือยางพาราเนี่ยปีหนึ่งประมาณ5ล้านตันเหลือเชื่อไหมครับว่าเรานำปริมาณยางที่ผลิตวัตถุดิบโดยภาคเกษตรกร5ล้านตันมาแปรรูปเป็นยางรถยนต์ถุงมือยางและผลิตภัณฑ์อื่นๆเนี่ยได้ประมาณจมูก7 ถึง 8 แสนตันเราต้องส่งออกน้ำยางเหล่านี้หรือยางแผ่นลมควันเนี่ยออกไปต่างประเทศประมาณถึง4.2 ล้านถึง4.3 ล้านแสนตันแล้วก็เมื่อมีปัญหาเรื่องถูกกดราคาหรือเราซัพพลายสินค้านี้มากไปตามหลักเศรษฐศาสตร์ก็จะทำให้ราคาตกต่ำทำให้รัฐบาลต้องไปประกันราคาต้องไปพยุงราคาสินค้าเกษตรเหล่านี้นะครับผมก็อยากจะนำเรียนว่าBig Data ที่เราจะทำแพลตฟอร์มเรื่องของ Ienc นะครับเราคิดว่าการที่เราจะมีข้อมูลเหล่านี้ขึ้นมามันจะซัพพลายข้อมูลเหล่านี้ให้กับภาคธุรกิจอุตสาหกรรมในการที่จะเตรียมการทำโน่นทำนี่ได้ถุงมือยางในประเทศไทยตอนนี้ต้องขอนำเรียนว่าเราผลิตออกมาได้ประมาณประมาณ 40,000 นะตัวเลขกลมๆแล้วกันนะประมาณ 40,000 ล้านคู่นะครับแต่ท่านเชื่อไหมครับข้อมูลที่ผมสังเคราะห์วิเคราะห์มาจากBig Dataทั้งหมดเนี่ยมีตัวเลขการผลิตความต้องการใช้ดีมานด์ไซด์นะครับของถุงมือยางของโลกเรานี่ครับประมาณ 330,000 ล้านคู่นะครับเราแบ่งถุงมือยางเป็น3ประเภทใหญ่ๆคือถุงมือยางใช้ทางการแพทย์ถุงมือยางที่ใช้กับบ้านและถุงมือยางที่ใช้ในภาคอุตสาหกรรมประเทศไทยปัจจุบันนี้นะครับยังต้องนำเข้าถุงมือยางนะครับทางการแพทย์อยู่บางส่วนนะครับคิดเป็นมูลค่านะครับที่ผมได้ตัวเลขมาถุงมือยางที่ใช้กับทางการแพทย์ที่ทางประเทศไทยนำเข้าว่ายังไม่มีโรงงานที่ผลิตได้ในประเทศไทยเนี่ย มีตัวเลขที่ซื้อเข้ามาเนี่ยขออนุญาตดูสักนิดหนึ่งนะฮะมีตัวเลขอยู่ประมาณตัวกลมๆนะประมาณ 1,000 ล้านบาทเป็นมูลค่านะครับอยากจะนำเรียนว่าแค่ตัวเลขถุงมือยางที่จะต้องนำเข้ามาในขณะที่เรามียางพารามีวัตถุดิบเนี่ยถ้าเราเอาตัวเลขนี้มาแชร์ให้กับภาคการผลิตโรงงานอุตสาหกรรมแล้วก็ไปเชื่อมโยงกับ R&D ของกระทรวงอวว่าถุงมือยางทางการแพทย์ถ้าเรายังผลิตไม่ได้จริงๆน่าจะมีนวัตกรรมให้ผลิตได้เราก็จะลดการเสียเปรียบดุลการค้า 1,000 ล้านบาทตัวเลขกลมๆเหล่านี้ออกไปอันนี้คือสิ่งที่กำลังจะบอกว่า Big Data เรื่องของ Ienc Application ของกระทรวงอุตสาหกรรมที่คิดจะทำเนี่ยเราอยากจะทำเรื่องนี้ให้เกิดขึ้นปัจจุบันเรามีข้อมูลนะครับมีโรงงานผู้ผลิตถุงมือยางนะครับในประเทศไทยอยู่ประมาณ47โรงงานผลิตออกมาได้ 44,000 ล้านชิ้นนะครับอยากจะบอกว่าตัวเลขกลมๆของทั่วโลกที่ต้องการใช้ถุงมือยาง 330,000 ล้านคู่เนี่ยเราผลิตได้จริงๆเนี่ย 13%ยังมีตัวเลขที่เราไปแชร์การตลาดได้อีก 87%อันนี้คือสิ่งที่ต้องนำมาบอกกับภาคธุรกิจอุตสาหกรรมทำยังไงที่จะสร้างแผนงานโครงการที่ไปเชื่อมโยงไปแมทชิ่งให้เราสามารถแชร์ตลาดเหล่านั้นได้อันนี้คือสิ่งที่กำลังจะบอกทุกท่านที่ร่วมสัมมนาว่ากระทรวงอุตสาหกรรมกำลังจะโฟกัสเรื่อง Big Data นำ Big Data ต่างๆของกระทรวงอุตสาหกรรมให้มาสร้างประโยชน์ให้ภาคธุรกิจอุตสาหกรรมผมยกตัวอย่างไปแค่2ตัวอย่างคือหลอด LED กับถุงมือยางทุกท่านก็พอจะเห็นแล้วว่าตรงนี้ถ้าเกิดว่าเราบริหารจัดการ Big Data หรือฐานข้อมูลนี้ดีๆก็จะทำให้ประเทศไทยเนี่ยสามารถขับเคลื่อนเศรษฐกิจในเรื่องใหญ่ๆได้เราอาจจะต้องมาโฟกัสเฉพาะ Product ที่มี Impact สร้างผลกระทบในเชิงเศรษฐกิจที่ดีเราอาจต้องสร้างหับให้กับ Product ใหญ่ๆมาวางแผนเชิงคุณภาพนะให้กับภาคธุรกิจอุตสาหกรรมไม่อยากให้ผลิตสินค้าสเปกสปะอยากให้ผลิตสินค้าที่มีนัยสำคัญซึ่งมีตัวเลขเชิงดีมานด์ให้กับภาคธุรกิจอุตสาหกรรมก็อยากจะขอนำเรียนทุกท่านว่ากระทรวงอุตสาหกรรมจะขับเคลื่อนเรื่องนี้ต่อไปแล้วก็ถ้ามีส่วนเกี่ยวข้องกับผู้เข้าร่วมสัมมนาเรื่องใดก็ยินดีที่จะแชร์และฟังความคิดเห็นได้นะครับผมอยากจะขอแตะเรื่องที่สำคัญเรื่องกระทรวงอุตสาหกรรมรับนโยบายจากรัฐบาลมารัฐบาลได้มีการประกาศนโยบายในการใช้ BCG โมเดลเมื่อมกราคม 2563 นะครับเช่นกันกระทรวงอุตสาหกรรมก็เป็นหน่วยงานหลักหน่วยงานหนึ่งที่เป็นองค์ประกอบของคณะกรรมการBCG โมเดลของประเทศนะครับตรงนี้นี่เองที่กระทรวงอุตสาหกรรมมองว่ากระทรวงอุตสาหกรรมน่าจะมีบทบาทสำคัญในเรื่องของ BCG โมเดลไม่ว่าจะเป็นBio Economy Circular Economy แล้วก็ Green Economy ต้องขอนำเรียนว่าในเรื่องของ Bio Economy เนี่ยเรามีการวางแผนในการขับเคลื่อนในการที่จะให้ภาคเกษตรกรซึ่งมีส่วนเกี่ยวข้องกับการทำทับทายเรื่องของ Bio Economy มีการเตรียมการวางแผนให้กับภาคเกษตรกรรมของประเทศนะครับเรามีการตั้งทีมงานของBCG โมเดลของกระทรวงอุตสาหกรรมและมีการประชุมวางแผนขับเคลื่อนไปพอสมควรแล้วนะครับในเรื่องของ Circular Economy ก็เช่นกันเราก็มีการวางแผน Circular Economy เนี่ยจะต้องขอนำเรียนว่า Circular Economy เนี่ยมีประเด็นที่มีนัยสำคัญในภาคธุรกิจอุตสาหกรรมในเรื่องของเปโตรเคมีหรือภาคธุรกิจอุตสาหกรรมในส่วนของเครือข่ายผลิตภัณฑ์พลาสติกเครือข่ายของซีเมนต์วัสดุก่อสร้างแล้วก็ต้องขอแตะเรื่องของ Green Economy ว่าเรามีนโยบายอย่างที่นำเรียนว่าอยากให้ทุกๆส่วนในเรื่องของพลังงานทุกส่วนในเรื่องของน้ำที่เข้าโปรเซสจะต้อง reuse recycle เต็มศักยภาพต้องสามารถใช้ทรัพยากรเหล่านั้นเข้าสู่ระบบกระบวนการผลิตแล้วใช้มันให้มันคุ้มค่ามากที่สุดผมขอยกตัวอย่างเรื่องของ Bio Economy สักหนึ่งผลิตภัณฑ์นะครับยกตัวอย่างแรกที่อยากจะยกตัวอย่างก็เป็นตัวอย่างธุรกิจน้ำตาลทรายนะครับต้องขอนำเรียนว่าผมมีนโยบายที่จะบอกผู้เข้าร่วมสัมมนาทุกท่านว่าผมไม่อยากให้ประเทศไทยผลิตนำอ้อยเข้าสู่กระบวนการผลิตออกมาเป็นน้ำตาลทรายแล้วขายในรูปของน้ำตาลทรายอย่างเดียวผมอยากชูนโยบายว่าน้ำตาลทรายของประเทศไทยจะต้องผลิตออกมาแล้วก็มีการแปรรูปสร้าง value added สร้างมูลค่าเพิ่มให้กับน้ำตาลทรายแล้ว ให้มันมีศักยภาพสูงสุดเราจะไม่ไปแข่งกับตลาดน้ำตาลทรายซึ่งตอนนี้ทั่วโลกเรารู้อยู่แล้วว่าผู้ผลิตน้ำตาลทรายได้มากสุดคือบราซิลรองมาออสเตรเลียเราอยากจะบอกว่าหรือตอนนี้ยักษ์ใหญ่ตัวใหม่ก็คืออินเดียเราอยากจะบอกว่าเราอยากจะผลิตน้ำตาลทรายเพื่อไปแปรรูปสร้าง value added ให้มันก็คือใช้หลักการของ bio economy ผมอยากยกตัวอย่างเช่นปัจจุบันนี้มีบริษัทข้ามชาติจากประเทศฮอลแลนด์นะครับในเครือบริษัทบูแลกคอเบียนมาตั้งโรงงานอยู่ที่นิคมเอเชียในนิคมอุตสาหกรรมมาตาพุทธบริษัทบูแลกคอเบียนนี้ใช้ raw material หรือวัตถุดิบจากน้ำตาลทรายซึ่งจริงๆเขาก็มีโรงงานของเขาอยู่ที่ฮอลแลนด์แต่ใช้วัตถุดิบจากบีทถามว่าวัตถุดิบจากบีทในการผลิตออกมาเป็นโปรดักต์ที่เขามาตั้งในบ้านเราคือต้องการผลิตกรดแลคติกที่ไปใช้ในธุรกิจในอุตสาหกรรมอาหารคอสเมติกและก็ยาปรากฏว่าบีทที่เขาใช้ที่ฮอลแลนด์เนี่ยพิวริฟายหรือต้นทุนการผลิตมันสูงกว่าใช้น้ำตาลทรายเขาข้ามประเทศเขาจากฮอลแลนด์มาลงทุนที่ระยองสาเหตุก็เพราะว่าน้ำตาลทรายเรามีศักยภาพในการที่จะเป็นวัตถุดิบที่ดีกว่าปรากฏว่าเขาใช้น้ำตาลทรายในการผลิตในกระบวนการผลิตเนี่ย200,000 ตันต่อปีนะครับแล้วกำลังจะตั้งเพิ่มขึ้นอีกขยายกับโรงงานเพิ่มอีก1 รายการผลิตอีก200,000 ตันปรากฏว่ากรดแลคติกตัวนี้แหละครับที่เขาไปใช้สร้าง value added ได้ปัจจุบันนี้น้ำตาลทรายที่ซื้อขายกันในท้องตลาดโลกกำหนดราคาน้ำตาลอยู่ที่ประเทศอังกฤษเนี่ยประมาณตันละผมให้ตัวกลมก็คือประมาณ 20,000 บาทต่อตันนะครับพอมาผลิตเป็นกรดแลคติกมูลค่าเพิ่มขึ้นไปผมให้ตัวกลมประมาณ 4-5 แสนบาทต่อตันมันก็มีมูลค่าเพิ่มไปละอันนี้คือนโยบายที่อยากจะบอกว่าไบโคอีโคโนมีเนี่ยมันจะต้องใช้นโยบายตามนัยยะนี้ทำผลิตภัณฑ์ใดก็ตามต้องมีมูลค่าเพิ่มแล้วก็เกิดกากของเสียน้อยที่สุดต้องเป็น zero waste นะครับอันนี้ต่ออีกบริษัทบูแลกคอเบียนนี้มีเจตนารมณ์ที่จะไม่ได้ผลิตแค่กรดแลคติกต่อเนื่องจากกรดแลคติกเข้าโปรเซสกระบวนการผลิตต่อไปก็จะเป็นเม็ดพลาสติก PLA Polylactic Acid เม็ดพลาสติก PLA ก็เป็นเม็ดพลาสติกชีวภาพซึ่งปัจจุบันนี้ทางยุโรปได้มีนโยบายที่จะประกาศให้ทางยุโรปเนี่ยไม่ใช้เม็ดพลาสติกจากเคมีแล้วนะครับให้ประเทศยุโรปทั้งหมดที่จะทำผลิตภัณฑ์เกี่ยวกับพลาสติกภาชนะผลิตภัณฑ์ต่างๆไม่ว่าจะเป็นถ้วยชามถุงพลาสติกต้องทำจากเม็ดพลาสติก PLA หรือ Polylactic Acid ตัวนี้อันนี้คือสิ่งที่ทางบริษัทบูแลกคอเบียนมาตั้งโรงงานที่นี่ผลิตเม็ดพลาสติกและส่งย้อนกลับไปขายทางยุโรปไปขายทางอเมริกาอยากจะนำเรียนทุกท่านว่าตอนนี้โรงงานผลิต PLA ตัวนี้นะครับทั้งโลกนี้มีอยู่แค่3 โรง1 โรงอยู่ที่สหรัฐอเมริกาอีก1 โรงอยู่ที่ประเทศฮอลแลนด์แล้วก็โรงที่3อยู่ในประเทศไทยถามว่าอย่างนี้คือเป็นนโยบายที่กระทรวงอุตสาหกรรมอยากจะขับเคลื่อนให้ภาคธุรกิจอุตสาหกรรมใช้คอนเซ็ปต์BCG โมเดลมาขับเคลื่อนถามว่าเม็ดพลาสติก PLA ตอนนี้มีมูลค่าเพิ่มไปอีกเท่าไหร่เม็ดพลาสติก PLA ในอนาคตจะมาทำเป็น medical grade มาทำสำหรับเครื่องมือแพทย์ซึ่งมีนัยสำคัญมากในช่วงนี้คือสามารถมาทำกระดูกเทียมข้อเข่าเทียมหรือแม้กระทั่งฟันปลอมได้นะครับตรงนี้มูลค่าเพิ่มมันจะขยับขึ้นมาเป็น10 ล้าน100 ล้าน value added มันขยายจากน้ำตาลทรายตันละ 20,000 บาทขยับขึ้นมาเป็น10 ล้าน100 ล้านอันนี้คือสิ่งที่กรมอุตสาหกรรมจะชี้นำและกำหนดกรอบบอกทุกท่านว่าจะต้องมาในแนวทางนี้อันนี้คือสิ่งที่อยากจะนำเรียนผู้เข้าร่วมสัมมนาทุกท่านให้ได้คอนเซปต์ไอเดียนี้ไปดำเนินการนะครับผมขอแตะเรื่องสุดท้ายซึ่งเกี่ยวกับนโยบายของกระทรวงอุตสาหกรรมซึ่งรับนโยบายมาจากรัฐบาลก็คือในเรื่องของยานยนต์ไฟฟ้านะครับกระทรวงอุตสาหกรรมในฐานะที่ถูกรัฐบาลแต่งตั้งเป็นเลขาคณะกรรมการยานยนต์ไฟฟ้าแห่งชาตินะครับได้มีการประชุมอย่างต่อเนื่องมาตลอด1 ปี 2563 ปัจจุบันนี้เรามีนโยบายนะครับซึ่งกำลังไปรับฟังความคิดเห็นอยู่ที่จะให้รถ EV ยานยนต์แห่งชาติเนี่ยถูกประกาศใช้อย่างเป็นทางการปี 2035 หรืออีก 14 ปีข้างหน้าหมายความว่าเรามีนโยบายที่จะไม่ให้กรมการขนส่งทางบกนะจดทะเบียนรถใหม่ที่เป็นรถที่ใช้น้ำมันสันดาปภายในหรือเราเรียกว่าไอหมายความว่าในปี 2035 เนี่ยเรามีนโยบายรับฟังความคิดเห็นถ้าประกาศนโยบายชัดเจนออกมาแล้วเนี่ยผ่านครม.มาแล้ว 2035 กรมการขนส่งทางบกจะจดรถทะเบียนใหม่เฉพาะ EV เท่านั้นนะครับแล้วตอนนี้เราก็ส่งเสริมทำงานบูรณาการกับทุกภาคส่วนไม่ว่าจะเป็นกระทรวงการคลัง BOI กระทรวงพาณิชย์ในการที่สนับสนุนส่งเสริมให้ภาคประชาชนได้ใช้รถ EV ซึ่งเป็นพลังงานสะอาดนะครับเรามีการประชุมอย่างต่อเนื่องแล้วก็ในเดือนพฤษภาคมนี้ถ้าไม่ได้มีการประชุมไม่ได้ถูกเลื่อนรับฟังความคิดเห็นครบถ้วนแล้วก็จะมีการประชุมคณะกรรมการยานยนต์ไฟฟ้าแห่งชาติคณะใหญ่แล้วก็ถ้าประกาศนโยบายนำเข้าครม.ชัดเจนก็จะนำเรียนต่อทุกท่านต่อไปในส่วนสำคัญองค์ประกอบที่สำคัญของเรื่อง EV เราได้สนับสนุนส่งเสริมให้มีการผลิตแบตเตอรี่ไฟฟ้ามอเตอร์ไฟฟ้าและคอนโทรลเลอร์ซึ่งเป็น3คอมโพเนนต์ที่สำคัญซึ่งรัฐบาลไทยภายใต้การขับเคลื่อนของกระทรวงอุตสาหกรรมมีนโยบายที่จะสนับสนุนให้เกิดยานยนต์ไฟฟ้าซึ่งเป็นยานยนต์พลังงานสะอาดที่จะสามารถลด PM 2.5 ได้ในอนาคตต่อไปนะครับเบื้องต้นผมขออนุญาตนำเรียนต่อผู้เข้าร่วมสัมมนาแล้วก็ขอแชร์เท่านี้แล้วก็ถ้ามีคำถามใดเกี่ยวข้องอยากให้ฝากคำถามผ่านมายังผู้จัดสัมมนาได้นะครับขอบคุณมากครับ
Well, thank you very much, Mr. Gopchai Sangsit-Tisawat, for your presentation. And next, we will take a break for around 20 minutes. And we will meet again at around 10:15 or 10:15. So thank you very much for your attention this morning.แต่ว่าเราไม่มีคนพร้อมตอบนี่นะไม่เราอาจจะบอกความจริงไปเลยว่าแบบตอบไม่เป็นวิดีโอเลยไม่ได้สามารถรับเป็นทันได้ตอบความจริงไปเลยเป็นเรานี่เหรอเคมีนี่เหรอI would like to invite the second keynote speakers. The second keynote speaker for us today is Professor Hideyuki Sawada. Professor Hideyuki Sawada is a professor from the Faculty of Science and Engineering from Waseda University from Japan. He received a Doctor of Engineering from Waseda University. His research work covers artificial intelligence, robotics, and related fields. He served as a university lecturer for more than 20 years. Today, he will give a talk on the topic socio-economic changes with AI and robots. Well, ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Professor Hideyuki Sawada.
Thank you very much for the kind introduction. I share my slide here. Can you see my slide? I hope you can see my slide. Can you hear me? Okay, shall I start my talk? May I start my talk?
Oh, yeah. Oh, yes.
Oh, okay. Thank you very much. Okay, thank you very much. Sawadee krap. My name is Hideyuki Sawada from Waseda University in Japan, Tokyo in Japan. First of all, I would like to thank Professor Nobutaka Ito and the organizing committee members of KKU Ienc 2021 for inviting me as a keynote speaker. I hope you are all fine in this difficult situation of COVID-19 and enjoy this conference. Well, in this talk, I would like to discuss on the AI and robotic technology for the socio-economic changes in the coming future. The title of my talk is Socio-economic Changes with AI and Robots. These days, you may realize the great change of our society and living environment due to the outbreak and the pandemic of coronavirus that is unexpected, rapidly spreading all over the world. Not only the spreading coronavirus, we are exposed to various threats of and disasters from the nature, such as earthquake, unexpected flooding, and fires. In this talk, we discuss how robots and AI technology will contribute to support us in safe and secure society. Okay, I would like to start my talk by introducing the robotic studies that have been conducted in Waseda University, which I belong. Robotic studies in Waseda started in 1970. More than 50 years ago, initiated by the late Professor Emeritus Ichiro Kato. Robot 1 is this one is a biped robot and have been developed to realize a human-like walking. The walking speed was, however, very slow, and it took about 20 seconds for one step. It is still different from the human walking, but surely it walked like human with its biped legs. And yeah, and the next one, in 1984, the research developed electron plane robot. And in 1985, at the Tsukuba International Exposition, it made ensemble performance with the real orchestra. It was really fantastic. Then in 20 years, humanoid project started to develop much realistic robots to walk like a human and to communicate with humans using gestures and voices. Like this, so far, in 2000, in the year 2000, humanoid project started to develop more realistic robots. And the Humanoid Research Institute, this one, was established in our university, and a variety of robots have been developed with the support of Japanese government and robotic companies. Okay, this is a video of this is Babian 1. It walked like this very slowly, and it could make some gestures. And then this is robot 2. Then in the development of the robot, it was able to walk much faster like human, like this, in the 1980s. Okay, like this. The firstly, the robot one, the walking method of the robot one was the static one. The at each motion, all the balance was made so that it can stand still at each position of the raising leg. But on the other hand, human walking is not like that. On the way walking, if you hit something, you will fall down because our human walking pattern is greatly in the mode of dynamics. The walking pattern is made by dynamics of the physical structure of human body. And in our robot developed in 1990s, we succeeded to realize the human-sized robot to walk dynamically like humans. Okay. Then the first in the first step of the robotic research, the reproduction of human shape with the same size was paid attention to realize the mechanical structure of robots. Then, in the next step, this study moved to realize a human-like motion, behavior, and action by considering the dynamics of the physical structure of the mechanical system. Then the study moves to the next stage to work for the realization of autonomous action generation, including the perception of the environment and the people and other things. Then it would be applicable to install human-like intelligence with body to have a communication and the interaction with human, so that the humans are making communication with humans. This will be the next target of the humanoid robots in its studies, but not so far. Okay. Okay. These are the humanoids which have been developed in Waseda University in the last 50 years. Okay. The pictures are introduced in this website. Yeah, I will show you one video performance of the piano playing like this. It is Robot 2, developed in 1985. It has many degrees of freedom for fingers and also leg, so that the robot is able to manipulate the keyboards with its fingers, arm motion, and legs. This is the performance made in the Tsukuba Expo in 1985. These are the real orchestra, and the robot 2 is situated next to them, like this. The robot is able to read musical scores with its camera and recognize the notes, so that it has a plan for its action to play the keyboard. This work was conducted more than 35 years ago. Okay. The next one, it is also robot called Wabian that can walk like a human, expressing different expressions like sad walk, angry walk, it is a kind of exaggerated that we try to express the ability of this robot with a dynamical planning of the working, different working patterns. Yeah. This work was achieved in 1998, more than 30 years ago. And after the development of this robot, we have worked to different types of robot, like human communication robots, the musical instrument playing robots, and the working robots that can achieve different ability for the working and running and more. Then let's see how robots have been developed in our society, not only Waseda University, but other research institutes and the universities. Okay, robots and the robots have been employed in the secondary sector of industries as industrial robots to manufacture products in factories. These days, industrial robots have very much differentiated ability for the production to produce different type of shapes of the products. And in these studies, the researchers and the developers paid attention to the structure, the machinery structure, and the materials to how to construct the robotic system to work for production. Okay. Then the robotic technology was extended to the primary sector of industries, which is the robots to work for agricultural field. Okay. In this situation, we have to consider not only the machine itself, but also the natural environment, so that the robot work in a field where the agricultural products are situated. It is the especially the land in a agricultural field is pretty rough. So the industrial technologies to be used in the industrial robots have difficulty to smoothly walk or smoothly locomote in such rough places. So we have to consider different idea to be adapted to such rough environment. Okay. The next one would be the robots for tertiary sector of industries, which may be service robots. Okay, in this field, we have to consider the machine with human. How human have an ability for the communication, or recognition and perception of the environment or some object, so that the robot can equally work with humans and communicate with humans. Okay, this is what we are trying to achieve in the stage of the robotic studies. Okay, okay. In consideration of the advancement of robots in industrial viewpoints, possible directions of robots are shown here. The first one is from factory to home to work in second, the first and the tertiary sector of industries. We can consider the human-friendly robots to work with human in human environment. Okay. And the next one is from Superman to human. In the industrial robots, we pay attention to the mass production of products. We have been working to develop industrial robots to produce much faster and much precise comparing with human workers. This stage, may consider the human simulator with sensor complex so that the robot can recognize the surrounding environment where humans are working. Okay. Then next we can consider the ability from GUI to post GUI. GUI is a graphical user interface, and the advanced robot could be worked as a kind of an interface so that we can effectively use for the communication. It may be a humanoid multimodal communication terminal to be connected to this network so that we can make a communication with people in the distant space by employing the humanoid robot as an interface. Okay, and also we can consider the robot in virtual to real. So far, we have been working, the many researchers are working for the virtual reality using the image processing and the sound and other modality. By employing robots, we can expand such a virtual world into real one so that the robot reproduces the 3D motion constructed in a virtual space so that we can directly have an interaction, physical interaction with the virtual world and the virtual objects. Okay. Yeah, to bridge virtual space and real world. Then from tool to partner, robots in our daily environment can be partner to establish a new relationship between human and machine. The robots for automation are good for tools for plan and observation, control, measurement. Okay. In the industrial robots, we pay attention to how fast the production will be achieved in the production system. So in this state of the robot in automation, we greatly consider the physics being conducted in the field. The next one, the robot in factory, the automated robot have been advancedly developed to product much flexible than the automated line. Okay, in such intelligent factories, the planning, autonomous planning, learning, and adaptation have been greatly considered to realize the human-like workers, workers, and in such stage, we need to consider not only physics but also logic for the assembly and adaptive production. Okay, then in the next stage, the robot could be working in the human environment so that it can autonomously to work or make actions to collaborate with human. In such stage, we need to further construct human kansei, which is a Japanese word to express human emotion, affectiveness, heartfelt feeling, sympathy, fun, intuition, and some more pretty complex word. But human, the kansei include the meaning of human, the human mind. It can be directly connected to the artificial intelligence to be installed in the robot using the computational technology. The robot are required to have a human ability of understanding so that the robot can perceive the surrounding environment where the robot and humans are situated, and to collaboratively work for the interaction, communication, or some more to work in a living environment. Okay, then this slide shows the communication level between human and machine. In the past years, the system is something like that, which has a mechanical system, and the human need to manipulate such robotic system by using keyboard, switch, mouse, or and also feedback comes from the machine by using the LED light and display and some more. It's pretty simple interaction, but the interaction method is pretty different from the human communication. So in the future, the system should be like a human shaped robot so that we can communicate with them using natural language, gesture, facial expression, and gestural communication, touch communication, something like this, through our skin and actions. And in each factors of the communication method, variety of approaches are being conducted in the research activities. Yeah, there are many natural language communication software, and also cameras can recognize human behaviors. But such devices are situated in the environment or ceiling or in devices. Then we need to manipulate them to use such interactions, to do such interactions. But once such systems are all installed in a robot with a body, we can directly make a communication, to have a communication to live with them. This would be the future stage of the robot and AI, so that we can much freely use them. Okay. Okay. Then, okay, this slide shows the communication level between human and machine. Okay, firstly, in the basic one, the communication started by giving commands to the mechanical system, just to send the command to go, stop, turn, on something, which is pretty logical one, established by mathematical logics. Okay, in the next stage, the robot accept quantity given by humans, such as the command like turn 90 degrees, move 1 meter, and go to the next room, and something like this. It can be an analog stage to have to conduct an interaction with the machine. A next stage would be extend level. This can be much human-like communication, because in the human-to-human communication, we usually use this kind of words or expressions like move a little bit or hold hard, and something. But move little bit has pretty difficult meaning. Of course, human can recognize properly, but to try to make this communication with the robot needs to recognize what little bit is. For example, okay, the word come here. Okay, the word come here. Okay, when we are communicating with a phone, then you say come here to the person in the other end of the mobile, then it means that the other guy come all the way to this place to directly talk with him. But okay, come here. Suppose that in another stage, suppose that two persons are situated in one room, but it is a little bit wide, and the other person is at the end of the room. Then you say, come here. Then the guy directly walk to this place. So come here. The meaning of come here has variety of meaning or to derive different actions by if we consider the situation where the communication is made. The robot are required, the human type robot are required to flexibly recognize this kind of communication together with the situation where the robot and the communicating person are situated. Okay. And then concept level, human mind level. Okay. And also we can make we can use words like paint beautifully, dance elegantly, write seriously, or something like this. Beautifully, elegantly, seriously has also a meaning of pretty vague meaning, and it should be pretty difficult to get a robot to recognize this one. But yeah, possibly we would work for that by letting the robot to recognize the situation by using the robotic body and artificial intelligence installed in the robot, to be installed in the robot. Okay. Okay. By increasing the level of the human-like mind, the literacy to use the robot, the requirement of the literacy for the manipulation of such robot comes to small. We can realize subjective meaning communication with them. This is what we are trying to achieve these days. Okay. Then the robot can be considered as firstly for manufacturing to produce goods and materials. Then the robot could be extended to the construction to work for the environment or infrastructure, and then agriculture, as I introduced in the previous slides, so that the robot can work for foods, housing, gardening, with human. And with the achievement of the human interaction, the robot, such robot can work in the service field, so that we can much more freely or intuitively communicate with them. There are variety of fields where the robot, such robot could be working like this. Okay, the next slide shows robotic technologies in industries that have been growing with robots. Okay, the key technology for the robotic industry are, of course, hardware, of course, to shape, to construct the robots by considering the materials, parts, body, and sometimes computers. And also software for precise control. For the industrial robots, they have a special OS and middleware to be robustly work, even if some noise or problem happens. They have worked for IOs and peripherals, and also good sensors are required. Sensors and actuators are required, and the design would be the pretty important issue to be installed in the industrial in industry systems. Okay. Okay. And on the other hand, these days robotic technologies are going into the computer industry to the production of the semiconductors with a pretty great amount of them, and the hardware are being made, software, I/O, and the referrals. The in the variety of fields, robotic technologies have been applied and going on for the further development for better application of the robots in industries. Okay, then yeah, computer industry is directly connected to the development of the artificial intelligence. Okay, as you know, artificial intelligence is defined like this, and so far there are some booms of the artificial intelligence. Okay, firstly, the neural model was introduced by McCulloch and Pitts in 1943, and the word artificial intelligence was firstly introduced in the Dartmouth workshop in 1956. So we have been using this word for more than 50 years. Okay. Then for the birth of the first boom of AI, the perceptron was introduced in 1985 to construct human-like intelligence at that time. Then in the second boom around 1980s, back propagation algorithm was introduced for the much powerful learning ability of computer systems to behave like human brain. Okay. And then now we are in the third boom, which started around 2006 with the introduction of the deep learning, okay, and with the development of the fast computation, memory, big data, and the network. This boom still continues to further develop the much good artificial intelligence, which will have human-like understanding. Okay, here I briefly compare the performance of computer and human brain. Okay, okay, this shows some the listing of the computer ability and human brain ability. Okay, the computer these days have the RAM of random access memory of billion bytes and terabyte SSD and hard disk. And the element size of the memory is about 10 to minus 9 meters. And energy used for the working is about several tens watts. Okay. And on the other hand, for the human brain, we know that the human brain consists of about 100 billion neurons, which is almost the same scale with the computer memories, and yeah, and also we have 30 trillion cells. Yeah, these are the very close scale in the hardware, and also neuron size of our brain is about 10 to minus 6 meters, little bit bigger. Already, it is a little bit bigger than the memories. The energy consumption is about 25 watts in brain. These are very close with each other. I mean, the hardware structure of the human brain and the computers are pretty close. But the method used for the computation is pretty different. Okay, for the computer, the processing speed is pretty fast, like 10 to 9 hertz, gigahertz. And on the other hand, the human brain processing speed is about 10 hertz at most, pretty slow. The computer for the communication for the calculation the calculation is made centralized processor and the communication is made serious. On the other hand, the human brain works distributed and the processing is parallel. And the human activity, brain activity is pretty redundant. However, fault tolerant, pretty robust against the noise like magnetic noise or electric noise. On the other hand, for the computer performance, they are pretty weak against the electric field and magnetic field, but it has a pretty strong error correcting codes for the good performance. Okay, these are the different parts with each other, but we are trying to make the computer to be very close to human brain. So what we need, we are required now to work is how to realize human-like performance using the hardware of computers with this different approach. We should consider how to solve this problem of the differences to realize a computational intelligence using this hardware and software approach. We may be required to invent different type of computers like quantum computer and others, so that the calculation would be much faster and much differently to be close to human. Yeah, this is also expected in the future of the robotic and AI technologies. Okay, applications of all AIs are pretty wide. As you know, there are uncountable number of cameras in the street, buildings, and of course your mobile phones. And of course there are many microphones and speakers in the environment. You may be required to consider the privacy and ethics to use them. Okay. And also the application of the deep learning. Okay, firstly, deep learning was have been applied for image analysis so that the computers be equipped with cameras can perform the recognition through images like human. Okay, this performance, computer performance, this AI performance have been applied for the surveillance for social safety and security network, and also quality control in production, and the medicine, health, and healthcare. These are also going on for the better performance. And maybe it is due to the time restriction, I will skip it. Okay. And the robots and the human society. Okay, this is what we expect robots to be like human, than to work with human. Okay, this arrow shows the life stage of human. Okay, we are born as a baby, then grow up to child, youth, adult, and senior. Okay, in each stage, there are many opportunities so that the robot can assist or cooperate with humans, like care, communication, education, learning, and playing, sport, athlete, and we may have some abilities so that the robotic technology will help the doctors, surgeons, doctors to assist the surgery at any location of the world. Yeah, and in the adult age, we may have some assist for the life. Then the robot can work for assist the aged people and the handicapped people for us in a care house or in houses. Okay. This shows the spatial range, okay, from the family house to the town, city, country, globe, and outer space like moon or Mars maybe in the near future. The robotic and AI technologies can be greatly effect to the development of the new systems and devices to be effectively working in the wide area of the world like this. And to support, so in such dimension of the space and also the life stage, what we should consider is the first one is the individual life support robots. But then we can consider the production support robots and also environmental support robots for the SDGs, sustainable development, and also to construct better living by making the good infrastructure. The robot can work for that. Okay? Okay, this is the mega trend introduced in the sustainable SDGs. Okay, in the SDGs there are 4 issues introduced as mega trends, which are aging, climate change, natural disasters, pandemic. Okay? Okay. Yes. Here, this is the situation of the aging society in Japan. We are around here. In Japan, we are already in the stage of population decrease. Okay. Already started the decrease. And for 50 years, the population predicted to be less than 100 million, like this. Currently, we have
excuse me,
130.
excuse
Yes.
me, Professor Hideyuki
Okay.
Sawada.
I'm
Really
really
sorry
sorry.
for interrupting.
Okay. Okay.
You
Thank
still
very much.
have time for presentation for 5
Okay.
minutes.
Okay.
Is it okay for you to
Yes, of
finish
course.
the presentation in 5
Yeah.
minutes? Because we still need
3 minutes.
a few minutes for
Okay. Yeah. Okay.
questions.
Thank you very much. Okay. There are some challenges for the climate change. Okay. Like this. Also, okay, this slide shows the 3 different disasters caused by earthquake. Of course, earthquake is a very big disaster, but in the case of Japan, we have a very different 3 cases caused by earthquakes. The first one in 1923, which is Great Kanto earthquake, it it caused the fire. And the second one, caused in 1995 here, it causes the collapse of buildings and many people died. And 10 years ago, the Great East Japan earthquake in 2011, it made a great tsunami like this to kill many people. So only one earthquake may generate different type of disasters, so that we have to prepare for differently for them. Okay. Which is can be considered as a physical phenomena, like a pandemic like this. Okay, yeah, our life being changed due to the biological phenomena caused by the pandemic. Okay, roboting and so on. Okay, this is the maybe final one. Okay, the robots in our society. The robot could be extended human to enhance personal ability mentally and physically. And the powered robot for construction and production could be considered in the environmental field in the future. And autonomous robot connected globally and locally, so that we can make a much flexible communication through robots as a terminal of interface. And also, we can develop a humanoid as a partner, so that they can support our life until our end age. Okay, okay. The concluding remarks. In this talk, I introduced some aspect of robots for the socio-economic changes. The tools are already being prepared. We can do more with the tools. Of course, we can extend the tool into much better one, and the situation may not exist in our experience. Interpolation of past experiences useless. And the extrapolation is required. Imagination and theorization are the important ability for the future for a social system evolution, structural reform of environment, ethics for social this robot. Okay, these are okay. End of my presentation. Thank you very much. This is the end of my talk.
Sawada Sensei, that is very interesting talk and very inspiring as well. I hope that we can, listen to whole the talk that you give in our presentation today. I have one question after listening to your talk. Well, you have the industrial robot and humanoid robot, and robot is become the kind of essential for our future. And there are many young researchers that listen to your talk now and in the future as well. My question is this, that what will be the challenge for young researcher to have the interest in robotics? The second question is this, well, with that challenge, if there will be some kind of breakthrough from the quantum computing, would we be able to overcome the challenge? And what kind of future that would be if the quantum computing actually emerge? Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you very much. Okay, as I introduced, we are due to the coronavirus, the societies are have already greatly changed, so that we can adapt. We are required to adapt the new society. Of course, the society is greatly changing, so that the robot to be adapted to the new society would be unknown. With the after Corona society, we may have different life and a different environment. So this is unknown. So researchers are required to invent new robots and AIs to be flexibly and intuitively adapt to such new society. And as you know, for example, in the case of earthquake, before 2021 in Japan, we have been prepared for the earthquakes by the corruption and fire. We have not thought about tsunamis, but tsunami came in 2011, and nothing could do for that. So many people died. So in the situation of the changing society, unknown future will come, and the unknown issues would occur. So we are required to be adapted in such unknown situation. No solution. So young people, I want to expect young people to consider what will happen with the idea of the digital aged people and the robotic aged people. Okay? There are no solutions. So by applying new idea of computation, including quantum computation, and also conventional very fast computers, and also we can apply new materials so that we can develop soft robots so that they have a soft body like human. So far, most of the robots have a metal body. hard one, so different one, but with the application, with the introduction of new material, we will apply the new material into the new type of robot. And if you use such soft material, robotic control method cannot work because they are, the robotic control is based on the degree of freedom. By counting the number of motors, control theories are constructed by the number of the motors. But if you construct a soft robot without any motors, it is pretty flexible. Maybe the degree of freedom is infinity or something like this. So the conventional control theory does not work for that. So we are required to develop and introduce new theory with the new material, new physical rules, and some more. Is it okay? Is it? Can it be an answer?
Yes, thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
I presume that we have one more question? Do we have time for one more question? Thank you. Right.
Okay, so Professor Swada, thank you for your presentation. And so as you have talked about the emotion for robots to learn about the human emotion, so which is, I think it's so quite interesting. And so especially for the robot that can work as a services robot, or even the mental therapy robots. And however, since the human emotion is quite hard to understand, so how can the robot will understand the human emotions? And second question is that if the robot can understand human emotion and can express some emotion towards that, so is it possible in the future that the robot can be quite like their unique personality for each robot?
Thank you very much. I think the robotic expression of feeling is much easier than the understanding of human emotion, because the robots can move like a human by referring to human motion, like making gestures and making facial expressions, and the emotion can be understood by human in communication. So by making some expressions using its body, the human thinks that the robot is expressing some expressions. So this could be easier than letting the robot understand human emotion. And in fact, the understanding of human emotion is still a big challenge. Of course, we are trying to use cameras and other sensors to recognize human emotion. And also, voice transmit emotion, like angry voice, happy voice, something like that. And we are also trying to such emotion from voice. Algorithmically, it would be possible, like for a robot to extract some emotion. Yeah, and yeah, this is on the way, and we are trying to do it and test by making much more communication with human. Is it okay?
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. And now I think we don't have time for more questions. So if anyone still have some question, you can send us. You can send your question to us, and then we can send your question to Professor Hideyuki Sawada later. Okay.
Thank you very
And
much.
so I would like to say thank you very much, Professor Hideyuki Sawada, for your presentation. We really appreciate your collaboration. And now I think I have to move forward to the next keynote speaker. Professor Supachai Patumnakul. Well, Professor Supachai Patumnakul received a Doctor of Philosophy degree in Industrial Engineering from Iowa State University from the United States. Currently, he is the Deputy Permanent Secretary of the Ministry of Higher Education, Science, Research and Innovation of Thailand. Previously, he was a professor in the Department of Industrial Engineering and also held a position as the Vice President for Research and Technology Transfer at Khon Kaen University. And today, he will give a talk on the topic, the university's role in sustainable social development in the disruptive technologies. Well, ladies and gentlemen, please join me in welcoming Professor Supachai Patumnakul.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen, participants in the Ienc 2021 conference. I am Supachai Patumnakul, Deputy Permanent Secretary for Ministry of Higher Education, Science, Research and Innovations. First of all, I would like to apologize that I could not lively join the conference. So I have recorded my presentation and share to you today. The topic that I would like to talk and to share to you is related to the role of the university in supporting the social development under the disruptive technology and the disruptive world. For the university's role in the sustainable social development in the disruptive technology, I would like to start with this. In the famous book, The Fourth Industrial Revolutions, the author of the book is Karl Schwab, the founder and former executive chairman of the World Economic Forum. He stated on his book that we stand on the brink of the technological revolutions that will fundamentally alter the way we live, work, and relate to one another. In its scale, scope, and complexity, the transformation will be unlike anything humankind has experienced before. He also stated that when we compare to the previous industrial revolutions, the first, the second, and the third industrial revolution, the fourth revolution that we are facing now is evolving at an exponential rather than a linear pace. That means the technology has changed very quick and have a rapid change of the technology and the world. Moreover, it is disrupting almost every industry and in every country, and the breadth and depth of this change herald the transformation of the entire system of the production, management, and the governance. The author also point out that there are some of the crucial technology that affect to our life, and so they call the disruptive technology, including the artificial intelligence, robotics, the IoT, autonomous vehicle, 3D printing, nanotechnology, biotechnology, materials science, energy storage, and quantum computing. Actually, there are many organizations has listed that the disruptive technology that affect to our life, to our world, to the industry. For example, in the McKinsey Global Institute has listed 12 of the disruptive technology that are very important to us, to the way we live, the way we work. Those are the IoT, renewable energy, advanced materials, 3D printing, energy storage, advanced oil and gas exploration and recovery, the automation of knowledge work, cloud technology, mobile internet, advanced robotics, autonomous vehicle, and the next generation of the genomics. This disruptive technology has changed our life, our work in many dimensions, in the various, maybe in all dimensions. So the human capital development should be changed respond to the disruptive technology and disruptive world. We need to consider some points of the human capital development the first point that we need to be considered is about the new paradigm of working based on the rapid change of the technology and the new technology. Our workforce can have like multi-career, multi-position, multitasking, and also multi-skill. For our life, we can say that now we have the multi-stage of life. So the people can working, living, and learning, and also relearn, unlearn and relearn, and also the career migration that move from one career to another with the new technology and the new knowledge. The new way of sourcing of talent is another point that we have to consider for the human capital development. That is the job first, degree included. The degree may be not more important as before. So the competency and the skill of the workforce may be more important than the degree. So the sourcing of the talent may not related to the degree that the people earn, but relate to the skill, to the competency of the workforce is more important than that. And also with under the COVID-19 pandemics, the new style of working may be need to respond to the pandemic. For example, the work or the tasks that can respond to the job security, the health security, food security, and also the energy security. And the last point that we need to consider for the human capital development under the disruptive technology that we call the global citizen. So our people or the workforce should have like the characteristic that we call the global citizen, to learn, to understand the global culture, and to learn and have the global skill. For example, the communication skill is very important for the global citizen, and the digital skill or the digital literacy is also very important. The socialization. So we need to change to consider about the many points of the human capital development. Under the disruptive technology and the disruptive world, we need to have the new higher education system, at least in Thailand, to respond to the change. The Office of Higher Education Policy Council of Thailand, under our ministry, has some study related to the new higher education system. There are some of the dimensions that we need to change and to have the new approach. For example, in the mode of delivery dimensions, the new approach should be like we should have the degree and the professional training, a micro credential, should have academic credit bank, and a lifelong learning. So the university not just only serve for the people at the age 18 to 22 as normal, as the conventional, but we need to serve for all ages to be the lifelong learning. For the flexibility dimensions, the new approach should provide, the new system should provide a learner that can learn in anywhere or anytime. For the learning provider, not just only the university can provide the knowledge or the higher education system, but should be the corporate and the local community, or maybe the other stakeholders can provide a higher education system. In the equality dimensions, the new approach should be the more affordable, accessible, and available to all the people. And for the quality and reliability, the new accreditation system should be support for the new higher education. The new accreditation system should based on the customer accreditations. For the demand-driven dimensions, the new approach should be like the new based learning, experience based or the quality based learning. And the last one is very important. This is the digital based I mentioned. The new approach of the new higher education system should have like digital based, like for the learning tools or the management tools. And now we're talking about the new learning ecosystem. For the higher education, we need the new learning ecosystem. The new learning ecosystem will be like serve for the all stakeholders in the learning environment and respond to the change of all of the stakeholders. For example, like for the real sector, the demand size of the higher education or the demand size of the university, then the real sector now they focus on more demand in the knowledge workers, more participation in human capital investment, and more on the short life cycle skills, for example, the digital skills. For the government, the behavioral change of the government under the new learning ecosystem, the government should change from regulator to facilitator, from centralized to the decentralized, from central planning to market mechanism. For the learner, not just only the student in the university, but for all workforce or the people that need to upskill, reskill. So the behavior is going to be changed from the age group to non-age group, from the passive learner to the agile learners, from the existing consumer to the non-consumer, and also from more entrepreneurial mindset to the learner should have the more entrepreneurial mindset to be the startup, for example. And for the learner provider, including the universities, the change like the change should change from the formal education to the lifelong learning, from the degree to professional training, from age group to non-age group, and from prestige to accessibility. Based on the new learning ecosystem, based on the disruptive technology, now in Thailand we have a new philosophy of Thai higher education for human capital development. This philosophy says that the higher education aims at creating lifelong people of all ages to be equipped with morality and necessary competency to better navigate themselves to the ever-changing society with disruptive technology, both in the present and the future. In addition, it should contribute higher competitiveness of Thailand in global landscape and to elevate quality of life of people. Graduates and human capital development, according to this philosophy, should wholly involve all stakeholders, including public and private sectors, as well as the communities. You can see that there are some keywords in this new philosophy of the Thai higher educations. The lifelong learning, as I said before, now the university or the learning provider for the higher education should serve for the lifelong learning, not just only for the workforce from 18 to 22 years old. And we need to respond to the disruptive technology for the present and in the future. And the other keyword is the competitiveness, because higher education is very important for the competitiveness of the country, because under the disruptive technology, the higher education should provide to the workforce, the skilled workforce, and the high quality people to serve the country for the competitiveness dimension. And also the next keyword is the quality of life. We believe that higher education, the good higher education should help to elevate the quality of life of the people. And the last keyword here is all stakeholders. It means that higher education, not just only the task or the jobs of the university alone, but you need to work with the other stakeholders like the private sector, the public, and also the communities. So from all of my presentation, I would like to summarize this, that the role of the Thai University in social development under the disruptive technology and the disruptive world. I would like to point out some important points. First, the university should transform from the ability to support to the power to lead. In the previous laws of the university in Thailand, we also be more on the ability to support the society. But under the disruptive technology, under the pandemic of the COVID-19, the university should not just only to support the society, but the university should change the role to lead the society. So you need to have the power to lead. The second point here is the university laws should be for the education for all ages, to all ages with the degree and the non-degree or the professional skill. The third point here that the Thai university should more on the experiential learning educations, not just only with the industry, but with the local communities. And should do more on research in the area-based biodiversity and the cultural diversity, because the biodiversity and the cultural diversity is a common ground, or it's the basics for the competitiveness or for the business of Thailand. The next one is the university law should do the knowledge and technology transfer to the local community and industry. And the last one is quite very important currently, the role of the Thai university should support creating the technology and innovation-based entrepreneurs. That's all of my presentation and the content that I would like to share to you today, related to the role of the university, at least the university in Thailand, to support the sustainable social development under the disruptive technology and disruptive world. Unfortunately, I do not have time or an opportunity to discuss with you about the topic, but if you have any questions or suggestions, you can contact me or the organizer related to this topic. And thank you so much, and enjoy for the conference. Thank you.
Well, thank you very much, Professor Supachai Patumnakul, for your presentation. Well, ladies and gentlemen, before we take a lunch break, I would like to inform you a little bit about the afternoon programs. Well, the afternoon session will be started at 1 p.m. We will have another keynote speaker, Professor Chitsan Lin from National Council University of Science and Technology from Taiwan. He will give a talk on the topic, innovative bioremediation of highly PCDDF contaminated field soil, green and sustainable treatment technologies. And after that, all the session will run in parallel. You can see the list of presentation topics and speakers at our website. So please attend any session you wish to. The afternoon keynote session will be run by Assistant Professor Thanyarak Latpakdi. He is the head of the Department of Environmental Engineering at Khon Kaen University. Well, thank you very much for your attention this morning. I hope everyone will enjoy our conference.
Okay. Well, good afternoon, everyone. Welcome back to KKU Ienc. And this is afternoon session, and we are honored to have our keynote speaker, Professor Chi-San Lin from National Kaohsiung University of Science and Technology. Today he's going to be talking about bioremediation of polychlorinated dibenzoyl dioxin and dibenzoylfurans, and I hope you guys enjoy his talk. And now the floor is yours, Dr. Lin.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, good afternoon, everyone. Yeah, hope everything is going well. You know, in the COVID pandemic, you know, it's such a big issue in the whole world. Okay, yeah. So let me see this one. No. Which one? Yeah. Okay. Okay. Yeah, so this is a topic I'm going to present. And first of all, I want to acknowledge my former PhD student, Ajari Ganonyong. She was originally from Konkan University. So she spent 60 years in Taiwan, you know, to finish her master degree and PhD degree. And so now she found, you know, a postdoctoral position at the Kaohsiung Medical University. So most of the work, most of the research result were done by Ajari. And basically, you know, the bioremediation technology we are going to talk about is into two domains, two categories. Mostly, first one is from food waste composting technology. Yeah, and that basically, you know, we focus on bacteria degradation. And the second part of bioremediation is we talking about fungi. And then we particularly use a white rod fungi, you know, to degrade dioxin and furans. And we found, you know, both of them are successful. So here is the information that I'm going to share with the audience. Okay, and first of all, this is the structure of dioxin. Yeah, and this is a furan. Yeah, and both of them, you know, are toxic compound and carcinogenic compounds. Yeah, and dioxin and furans, you know, the sources of dioxin and furan could be from fire-waste fire or waste incineration or wood preservation industry, or pulp paper mill, and also mostly from chemical manufacturing process. And the toxicity of dioxin, you know, they can damage to the reproduction system, and also damage the immune system, interfere with hormones, and also they are carcinogenic compound. And here on this table, you know, it's listing, you know, the dioxin and furan congeners, you know, the physical and chemical property. And as you quite stable, and because of they are hydrophobic and lipophilic, so they are low solubility in aqueous system and high absorb on particle phase in soil. Okay, so with that dioxin and furan produced from chemical industry, then they can transfer through air or aqueous system or soil system, and eventually, you know, get into the food chain and reaching human errors. Okay, and in this presentation, like our research, we are focused mainly on dioxin and furan contaminated soil. And this figure shows everyone that dioxin contamination issue is not domestic issue, it's almost global issue. Yeah, particularly in many developed countries. And here, say, for example, this one is in Hong Kong, and Taiwan is here. So Taiwan, we also have a major contamination site in southern Taiwan, and this is the site, is by the shoreline. And this site, we have a total of 500,000 tons of contaminated soil, and about 20% of them are high concentration, with greater than 50,000 nanogram TEQ per kilogram, and about maybe 60% of them are relatively low concentration, which we define it as a less than 50,000 nanogram TEQ per kg. Yeah. And then we had to find like a remediation technologies, that can deal with dioxin. And first of all, you think about thermal treatment. And thermal treatment can take care of high concentration dioxin. But again, we have about 60% of relatively low concentration dioxin that we are looking at, biological treatment, because as you can see, biological treatment it's more economically feasible compared to thermal treatment. Yeah. Okay, but first of all, we have to make sure that bacteria or fungi can taking care of dioxin. So what we do is we did lots of literature review, and we found that from in the past 20 years, bioremediation research journal paper publication has increased significantly. Yeah, so we feel quite comfortable that we are heading, to the good direction. Yeah, and then we dig out with like hundreds of literature, and we do find, so many bacteria, that can deal with dioxin. Yeah, so we decided, to go in on this direction, and then in some of them, say for example, this is study in 2005 in Japan. They can reach about 92% removal efficiency with compost system. And then they will be able to scale up into like a big pilot system. Yeah. And here is another example in Taiwan, 2016. Then Professor Chen, they also found that compost microsome can also degrade dioxin. Yeah. And in this research, they found that they can reach 53% removal efficiency with 10% sewage sludge added into the compost mixture, and then 79% removal efficiency, with 5% sewage sludge added. Yeah. So with all these literature review, we found that we think composting it has advantage to deal with that dioxin, but to make sure that composting can be successfully processed, and then we need to make sure that microbial, we need to do seeding, and we have to make sure that the nutrient is in a good condition, and try to bring down the particle size, and then to make sure the moisture content and pH are good for the composting system. And also, more importantly, we need optimize the aeration rate. So from all this, we found that in the past 10 and 15 years, we found that this is it's under our control, and the air aeration rate we will put it at about 8 liter, per kilogram of medium, per minute. And so this is a composting system, and composting is a natural process, and it's possible for in-situ application. It can also degrade various organic compounds, and also low cost and affordable. So basically, we can think composting is a green and sustainable remediation technology, and also a low cost, and it's a technical barrier is not that high. With the many traditional farmers, we can give them health and safety training, and then they will be able, to perform the composting system. And then next, I want to talk about fungi. And we also, from a significant amount of literature review, we found that many fungi can degrade dioxin or dioxin-like compound. And then we tried to find out, among so many fungi, we found, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. These 5 species are local in Taiwan. So that means they are available in Taiwan. And then we found the bacteria data bank, and then we found that that Pleurotus promonus, PP, this species, we do have it in Taiwan, and then this species can also treat PAH, PCB, or pentachlorophenol and pesticide or dioxin compounds. So we decided to go with PP. And then from the literature, we know that PP can catalytically degrade, through mechanism of peroxidase, and also can carry on catalytic reaction by lactase. So that means in our experimental design, we need to monitor LIP and MMP. So here are some of the degradation mechanism reported in literature, and also some other most in the past 10 or 20 years. There are also many studies reported that lactase and MMP, can degrade dioxin. Okay, so then we, try to find that, if PP, these fungi species can degrade dioxin. So here it's in 2014. This professor, they found that with a perforated plastic tube in this lab scale reactor design, they can use that to degrade dioxin contaminated soil. And then later on, Winquist, then what they did is, they use one layer of fungi and then one layer of soil, another layer of fungi, another layer of soil. And with that simple reactor design, they are also able to degrade dioxin. And good news is that later on they will be able to scale it up into a small scale, small pilot scale, and then into like a bigger pilot scale, and then you can observe that all the fungi are growing very well in the dioxin contaminated soil. Yeah. Okay. So that give us some confidence. With fungi, can also be a good candidate of a green and sustainable remediation approach. Yeah. So we decided to go with bacteria and fungi. And with bacteria, we apply our food waste composting system experience, then try to develop into like a composting system like that, and then if we mix our compost with dioxin contaminated soil, then we will be able to degrade dioxin. And then with the fungi, we are initiating in like we are still stay in relatively laboratory scale. And what we're working on is we're working on to have a solid state fermentation instead of liquid state fermentation, because the dioxin contaminated soil at southern Taiwan, we think it will be more feasible if we can do it in solid state fermentation. And that is better than we transfer into aqueous system. So that's why we focus on solid state fermentation. Yeah. So we start to do experimental work, and first of all, Ajari and our local student, we have to collect samples at the Superfund site in southern Taiwan. So we collect lots of dioxin contaminated soil, and then we do the particle size segregation, and we found that as expected, the fine particle and some coarse particle, they have high concentration dioxin. Okay, but the particle in between 0.105 and 0.25 micrometer range, that has about 20,000 nanogram TEQ, and we think this is a good concentration, to apply biological remediation, and also this particle size range has 67% of the size. Yeah. Okay. So here is our aerobic food waste composting system. So what we do is we use mature compost as a seeding material, mixed with sawdust and the kitchen leftover, which is the food waste, then mix it. And then we mix with initial composting material, 70% of food waste, and to mix with the 30% of dioxin contaminated soil. Then here is then we add the dioxin contaminated soil into the food waste and try to mix well, make sure your homogeneity, and then put all the initial composting material into this reactor. Yeah. And then during the process, during the composting process, we have to monitor next generation sequencing to identify bacterial population and also the bacterial diversity, and also try to identify any species that can degrade dioxin during the composting process. Yeah. Okay, and then And then here is you know, the experimental design of our fungi solid phase fermentation system. And this fungi, you know, we use PP, and PP, you know, we need to follow the mushroom cultivation technique, which Ajari, you know, luckily, you know, Ajari, you know, she has a mushroom cultivation experience in Thailand, so she can handle this job easily. So we purchased PP from the bacteria bank in Hsinchu, Taiwan, and then we cultivated and then try to cultivate it in the bottle. And then, as you can see that, and then we need to find it's the best temperature is 26 plus 2 degrees C environment, and to maintain a good moisture parameter. So as you can see that that's in the bottle test, and the fungi growing very well, and you can see the mycelium, you know, is growing within a week. And then later on, you can see the fruit body is also growing. Then we find out, you know, the best composition, you know, of the cultivation. Then we scale it up to make it into a mushroom bag, you know, and to cultivate PP. And that's our final product. You know, that's PP is cultivated. Then we use this as a solid inocular, you know, to mix with dioxin contaminated soil. Okay, so we mix the solid inocular with the dioxin contaminated soil with a different ratio, 1 to 0.8 to 1.4 to 2.6, and then with many bottles, so we can have good statistical triplication samples. Okay, and then we have to monitor the dioxin concentration. And also at the during the process, we also need to monitor enzyme activity, which is LIP and MMP. You know, that's and then do the dioxin analysis, you know, through extraction, purification, and then we use GCMS to identify dioxin and furan following US EPA method. And then we need to follow a quality assurance and quality control suggested in the US EPA method. Okay, now let me quickly talk about result. Okay, so as you can see, that's composting. You know, we mixed the initial compost mixture with the dioxin contaminated soil, then put into the reactor. And then we monitor bacteria, and then we monitor dioxin concentration drop. And this picture shows you that, you know, within 1 week, you know, the compost were able to migrate into thermophilic stage, which means bacteria can survive in the dioxin contamination environment. And then from this figure, you can see that, you know, from day 0, you know, we have about 8,000 nanogram TEQ, and then it drops, you know, in the first 1 or 2 weeks, it drops quickly. And then from the 3rd week, you know, until the 42 days, it drops to less 2,000 nanogram TEQ, which is close to 70 to 80% removal efficiency. Okay, and then during the process, we found that, you know, the class Bacillus were the most abundant bacteria population. And then from all these bacteria identified, you know, through NGS sequencing, we will be able to find many bacteria. Then we compare, you know, these bacteria with literature, And then we do be able to find, many bacteria species, like all this mark, they were reported, they can degrade dioxin or dioxin-like compound in literature. And many of them also have a catechol 2,3 dioxygenous genes. So which means in the composting system, we have a various type of bacteria that can degrade dioxin. And the same thing here. These 5 groups of bacteria, they were identified, in literature that they can degrade dioxin. So as a short conclusion here, that is we found that our composting system can degrade dioxin. And also later on we try with benzophenol, we try to co-compost with PAE plasticizer, like a DOTP, or DHP, and also with fuel oil contaminated soil. We found that they were successfully degraded. And with that, we also have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 paper published in the past 5 years. So if you are interested, you can go to these papers for more detail. Okay, and now let me quickly, I think the time is running out. Let me quickly, summarize, the result we found with fungi. Okay, so what we do is, what we did is, we have the solid fungi inocular. We mixed it with dioxin contaminated soil. And then from day 0 and 1 week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks later, then you can see that the mycelium are growing very well, and eventually fruit body also growing. And then you can see that this is day 0 with contaminated soil mix. And then day 4, day 9, day 14, so they are growing quite well. And we also monitoring different dioxin species, in the first months. And then all these details, we can see that it's we are reached a reasonable removal efficiency. And then with different composition. Okay, that let me jump to, okay, so basically what we found we can start with about MTQ, and we can bring it down to less than 1,000 nanogram TQ. Okay, and with a different mixing ratio, we can achieve 76% to 96% removal efficiency. And that 96% is 1 to 1.4 ratio, which is about 40% of contaminated soil to mix with 60% of fungi inocular. Okay, that's the other pictures to show. Okay, and same thing, we found LIP and MP, to try to explain, the mechanism or how the dioxin were degraded. Okay, so it's a quickly, so we found that food waste, composting it's an economically feasible, also technically feasible technique to work on bioremediation. Okay, and we found like 8 species, they were like 95% similarity from the compost system, that can degrade dioxin. Okay, and there's also like 30 more species, Yeah, they have they are also pretty good similarity with a good likelihood, to degrade dioxin. Okay, and many of them we found that catechol 2,3 dioxygenous gene. Okay, and then with the laboratory scale solid state fermentation system, we found we can also achieve 80% to 96% removal. Yeah, okay. Yeah, so from all this wonderful work, as I mentioned, that is performed by our former PhD student, Ajari Kaunayong. She is from Thailand. Okay, and just want to show you that yeah, she has like many paper published, that's in the past 5 years. Okay, so if you can search her name, and then you will be able to find this paper. So if you are interested, to know more, you can also contact Ajari. And also Ajari, Mr. Ajari's a wonderful work. We also have 2 invention patent approved in last year. Yeah, so that's the 2 invention patent approved. Okay, all right. Yeah, okay. And Ajari, she is now working as a postdoctor in Kaohsiung Medical University. Okay, and I think maybe after 2 or 3 years later, if she got more experience and she is interested to going back to Thailand to do research with all of you. Okay, yeah. So I think I should stop here.
Thank you very much, for Professor Lin. I think we running out of time. Maybe have one quick questions from the audience. Anyone has a questions? No. Maybe I have one question. Is that technique has been implemented in the real application for the removal of dioxin in the soil, or is it the experiment right now?
Yeah, that is a wonderful question. Meanwhile, because we have 500,000 tons of dioxin contaminated soil in the site in southern Taiwan. Yeah, so that will cost us lots of money to clean it up. So what we are looking for is, meanwhile, we will be able to scale up to a big pilot scale, which is 3 tons, 3 tons big compost pile on site. Yeah, but to deal with 500,000 tons, we need even bigger scale. Yeah, so we are scaling it up, step by step. And another major technical challenge is, with the 500,000 tons of soil, it has indigenous bacteria. So we need to make sure that like our composting system can also working well with the indigenous bacteria, without sterilization, because sterilization it also costs lots of time and money. Okay.
All right. Well, thank you very much. Since we are going to break up to the parallel section, so well, thank you again for joining our conference, and we expect to hope you guys enjoy the parallel section. So I would adjourn the meeting section for the keynote from now. Well, thank you very much, everyone. And I have to run to another section too. All right. Thank you. Bye.
Yeah, bye-bye.
Good afternoon. I believe it's afternoon in Thailand. So for me is during the daytime too in the US, except that I'm recording this a few days ahead of the schedule. Because of the time difference, I cannot do this live. So please accept my apology for not being able to do this live and send this recording instead. It's my pleasure to be part of this conference. Thanks the organizer for having me here. It's always fun and great to be part of any activities from Thailand, because Thailand used to be home for me at some point. So yeah, before I go any further, I would like to acknowledge my co-authors. The first one is Ricardo Zamora. He's my PhD student at North Dakota State University. I'm no longer at North Dakota State University. I'm at University of Nevada, Las Vegas. I moved from North Dakota State to University of Nevada, Las Vegas a few years back, and Ricardo was my PhD student that chose to remain at North Dakota State University. So I'm advising him from distance, and then he's co-advised by John McAvoy. John McAvoy is a microbiologist. Ricky Zamora is a student in civil and environmental engineering department. And like I said, John is co-advising him with me. So the talk that I'm gonna be giving today is sort of like semi-fundamental. It has the practical spin as well. It has to do with blocking a part of cell, okay, bacterial cell, okay, that is important for the attachment, okay, for the attachment on the surface, especially what we're targeting here is membrane surface, okay, membrane surface in wastewater treatment. So if you want to look at the exact title, is dodecyl beta D maltoside blocks bacterial appendage attachment to wastewater treatment membranes. So first, a little overview. I'm sure all of you here are familiar with conventional activated sludge, or CAS, and it has been sort of like a standard process for wastewater treatment. It has been around for like roughly 100 years, plus minus. Okay, plus minus. I can't remember the exact year, but it has been around that long. I think in the early 1900s, so roughly 100 years, and it's working fine. Okay, it's working fine. That's why it's a standard method for treatment, except that these days in big cities, in major cities, where land is limited, it's still a process of choice. But when your land is limited, is there a way to downsize the footprint of wastewater treatment system? And one way is to combine that aeration tank and secondary clarifier or secondary sedimentation tank together into a unit. Okay, that's relying on membrane process. Okay, and this process is known as MBR, membrane bioreactor process. It's known to have a smaller footprint compared to conventional activated sludge. It is easier to operate and control, and the quality of the effluent is much better than the quality from activated sludge system. For example, it has higher pathogen removal, or basically, the membrane process help retains pathogenic microorganisms. So you rely less on disinfection process at the end. So basically, in summary, it does provide much better effluent quality compared to conventional activated sludge. Also, of course, less sludge production. That's another benefit of MBR process. So this is pretty typical for membrane processes. You have fouling issue. Okay, but for MBR, okay, the fouling is mainly coming from biological substance, okay, or biological agents, mainly biofilm. Okay, we call it biofouling. We also have chemical fouling, fouling due to suspended materials and things like that. intersuspended materials. But in this case, MBR, what is relevant is fouling caused by bacterial cells or biofouling. Okay, biofouling. It happens. Can't avoid that. Okay, no matter what you do, biofouling will happen. Okay, what can make it better is to prolong, is to delay that biofouling or to minimize. You cannot eliminate, but you can minimize. You can delay. Okay, the biofouling process. And biofouling has to do with the fact that bacteria start accumulate at the surface, and we'll talk a little bit more about that. And then once they get to the point that they have high enough cell numbers, okay, they start secreting what is called EPS, extracellular polymeric substances. That's the backbone, or that's the main ingredient of biofilm. Okay, biofilm. So when you have biofouling, well, you have to clean. Okay, you have to clean your membrane. Okay, and to clean your membrane, you require chemicals. Okay, you require to use chemicals to clean your membrane. For example, the most common practice for what we call maintenance cleaning is to soak in a bleach hypochlorite at about 200 to 500 milligram per liter, and then followed by soaking in organic acid. Okay. Also, another type of cleaning, which is called intensive cleaning. Okay. You don't do intensive cleaning very often. Okay. Usually, what you do every few days, you do what is called maintenance cleaning. But intensive cleaning is when you have like severe fouling, after a certain number of months, then you start doing what is called intensive cleaning, and that involves soaking at a much higher concentration of hypochlorite. Cleaning is effective, but it's never perfect, as you can see from the pictures there. The original membrane looks really nice and clean. When it's foul, you can see what happened after you soak in a bleach, sodium hypochlorite, and even after rinsing, soaking the bleach and then rinsing, the color, if you notice, the color is still not exactly. Oops, this is the brand new membrane. Okay, this is membrane after use and after cleaning. You can see that there's a difference in color. Okay, it's not perfectly white like brand new. Okay, so cleaning is not perfect. Plus, when you clean, you have to take the membrane process offline. Okay, also, dealing with chemicals, like a strong oxidizer or an acid at high concentration is not desirable. Okay, for operators. So we want to minimize the cleaning. Okay, the chemical cleaning. So we talk about biofilm formation. This diagram shows you the stage of biofilm formation, starting with like the first stage. It involved the colloidal materials or organic content. Okay, get deposited or they have affinity toward the surface. So they sort of like form this conditioning film. Okay, at the first stage, and then cell. Okay, with that conditioning film. Okay, bacterial cells. Okay, they move toward the surface using organelles like pili, curli, okay, or fimbriae. Okay, and then one thing that we want to focus on is at the end of these organelles like pili, curli, or fimbriae. Okay, there's a thing called adhesin, which is a combination of many proteins together. Okay, it's a combination of like a few hundred proteins, if I remember correctly. You have what's called adhesin, and this adhesin, has or is interacting with the conditioning surface, through what we call weak hydrophobic interaction that would allow, the initial attachment. At this point, the attachment, due to the interaction between the tip of the organelle or adhesin, is still what is called reversible. So once more and more bacteria come to the surface, then they start releasing, they start communicating, by releasing a chemical called autoinducer, or sometimes it's known as the process known as quorum sensing. So they start communicating, say, hey, we high enough in number, let's excrete the EPS. And that's when you get to this stage right here, and this is where you have what's called irreversible biofouling. Irreversible biofouling. And then of course, as time goes by, okay, you have what is called mature biofilm, where you have more excretion of EPS. In the end, okay, when the biofilm is getting too thick, okay, what happens is that it cannot withstand the shear force, okay, or the flow effect. So some of the EPS break, okay, and then the cells, okay, again, the cells get released from the biofilm, okay, they will come back, swim back, and they will come back to this stage again, okay, this stage again. So that is the stage of biofilm formation. So what people do, okay, what people do a lot, okay, is to find a way, okay, for this not to happen. And so far in the field of wastewater treatment, what has been done is to add enzymes, okay, to prevent, okay, the excretion of EPS, okay, and the process is known as, okay, quorum sensing quenching, okay. There are enzymes out there that can be used, okay, to inhibit or to degrade autoinducers so that cells cannot communicate. When they cannot communicate, then they cannot release EPS. So that's the target. That has been practiced, okay, both at the research level as well as field scale. I know that some treatment plants, okay, some treatment plants, and this concept works for both wastewater treatment and water treatment. So some treatment plants do use enzyme, okay, as a cleaning chemical, okay, and it has to do with the prevention of the release of EPS by inhibiting that quorum sensing. And as you can see here, this is a principle that I told you that, okay, one cell, okay, they congregate or accumulate, okay, at enough density, okay, you have high enough number, okay, then they start releasing what is called AHL autoinducer, okay, which would trigger the transcription of the gene, okay, related to the EPS. So yeah, that's a process quorum sensing, as I said. If you look at here, see, what happened is that when these autoinducers are blocked, like I said, you know, by a chemical like an enzyme, okay, we call that chemical quorum quencher, okay, or a quorum quenching compound or compounds. Okay, so basically they block or they degrade AHL, okay, the autoinducer, so that the autoinducer are never high enough in number that would trigger the transcription, okay, okay, of gene and of course protein eventually, okay, for the generation of EPS. So again, that's the traditional approach, okay, that's not the traditional, but that's what has been practiced recently, okay. In our study, okay, we try something different, okay. We're going back to that biofilm diagram, okay, Instead of waiting until, okay, they attach to the surface, we said, what if we can try to block adhesion? What if we try to block that protein at the tip of fimbriae or pili, okay, before they attach to the surface? Okay, would that be better, okay, by having that prevention even early on, okay, in the biofilm stages? Okay, so that's the idea, okay, is to attack that adhesion. Is there a way to block that adhesion, okay, so that it doesn't interact with the conditioning film on the surface? And so we did some study. I mean, we look up we look up literature, okay, and we found that in the field of medicine or in the medical field, people have tried this before. For example, this adhesion for Pseudomonas species, okay, they're known to have what is called, okay, type 4 pili, okay, T4P, okay, and then at the end, okay, of this pili, okay, type 4 pili or T4P, it has adhesion, okay, sometimes it's known as epitope. We call it epitope, right? So as I said, okay, one cell get close to the surface, okay, adhesion interacts with the surface or epitope, right? And epitope is like a hook, okay, once they interact, okay, they interact with the surface, they act as a hook, okay, to the surface. And then what happened, the entire pili, okay, which is mainly a protein called pilin, okay, pilin protein, okay, is reeling, okay, the cell, okay, is reeling the cell closer to the surface. So basically, the adhesin or the epitope is like a hook, and then the pili or the pilin protein is sort of reeling the cell, so that way the attachment is more firm, okay, it's more firm. So this is an example, and I said in the medical field, okay, in the medical field, people have looked at this before, because medical field, they don't want biofilm formation. So the way they have tried is that they tried different type of anti-adhesin compounds, okay, such as mannose, galactose, okay, fucose, okay, maltose is another one, okay, maltose is another one. So these compounds, okay, these compounds, okay, are known as anti-adhesin compounds, and they have been used, okay, as alternatives to antibiotics, and the action is that these, okay, sugar-based molecule, okay, are blocking adhesin attachment, okay, to the surface, okay, to the surface. For example, in this study, they use maltose, okay, okay, and experiment maltose, they dose maltose, okay, for the prevention of the attachment or biofilm formation of Pseudomonas aeruginosa on steel coupons. Okay, they tested with a steel surface. Okay, you can see these are different derivatives. Okay, different maltose derivatives. Okay, I have to be clear. Okay, most of the time they don't use sugar directly, but they use sugar derivatives. Like in this case, it's maltose derivatives. They try so many different derivatives. Some of them are more effective than the other in term of blocking the adhesin, or we call in this case we call these maltose derivatives, okay, anti-adhesin compounds. You can see some of them, okay, in this region here, okay, are really effective, okay, in preventing the biofilm formation, okay, the biofilm formation, 60 to 80%, okay, inhibition of biofilm formation. Again, this is another example. This is the case of mannose, and you have E. coli cell, okay, E. coli cell here. This is not any surface like we're talking about steel or like plastic or something like this. Is the mechanism for E. coli attachment into host cells, okay, okay. Like you can see here that the at the tip of these, okay, pili, you have 3 pili here, for example. At the tip you have what's called adhesin, okay, adhesin is called film H. Okay, so this adhesin, okay, can bind, okay, to the host cell, okay, through functional groups or proteins or something like that. But if you throw in like, okay, mannose derivative, okay, what happens is it start, okay, binding the adhesin, okay, so that way adhesin cannot interact, okay, with whatever molecules, okay, they're supposed to interact in order to attach, okay, to the host cells. Same principle, okay, very similar principle, that when we throw in this sugar derivatives like maltose derivatives or mannose derivative, okay, it will block adhesin, it will interact, and then it will block adhesin. Another thing that people tried in the medical field is to use what's called mucin. Mucin is like a protein. I think I believe it's a glycoprotein, okay, derived from mucus. Okay, they have this ability to disperse biofilm. Okay, what they do is that mucin, okay, interact with flagella, okay, to cause the twitching motility. So that way, okay, in this case, Pseudomonas aeruginosa, which is a model organism for biofilm, okay, they disperse. Okay, they disperse after interaction with mucin. So that's another approach. So what we try to do in our study is to borrow these concepts, okay, this concept in the medical field. We want to try these 2 sugar derivatives, maltoside and mannopyranoside. Okay, to be exact, though, dicyl beta maltoside, DBM, or methyl alpha dimannopyranoside, or me alpha man, okay, me alpha man to be short, and then mucin. 3 things that we want to try. The first 2 are anti-adhesin. The last one here is a dispersant, okay, of biofilm we want to try. Okay, so we want to see the effectiveness of these agents, okay, this agent, okay, to prevent, okay, we want to focus on the prevention, but we also did the experiment on removal. We're going to talk about that. Preventing the adhesion attachment to the surface, okay, of the membrane. So and then the second objective is to determine the effectiveness of the beta M at delaying biofouling in a lab scale reactor. Today, I'm going to present only the first part of the study. The second part of the study is ongoing. Okay, it's ongoing, and you can see the hypotheses associated with the objective. So for the methodology, we work with PO cultures. Okay, we work two PO cultures, Pseudomonas butida and E. coli, and then mixed culture. We also use mixed culture in our experiment. We took a mixed culture sample from wastewater treatment facility. Okay, we adjusted cell density based on OD 600 of about 0.1, and that's equivalent to 3.6 to 4 times 10 to the power 6 CFU per mil. Okay, CFU per mil. So that's the concentration we work with. First, we did what is called a screening experiment. We use well plate, okay, for our screening experiment. It's polystyrene. It's not the same material as a membrane, but for a screening purpose, I think we were okay with it. So we throw in these different cultures, the PO cultures and the mixed culture, separately, okay, into the well plate. Okay, for the prevention experiment, we dose the adhesins and mucin, okay, at the same time that we dose or we inoculate the cultures. For the remove experiment, we allow the biofilm to grow first for 18 hours, okay, and then we dose the adhesin and the mucin separately, okay, separately. For both removal and prevention experiment, after 24 hours, for prevention is 24 hours from the beginning when we dose when we inoculate the cell and we dose the anti-adhesin and mucin, okay, together at the same time after 24 hours, okay. And for the removal is 24 hours after 18 hours of biofilm formation. Okay, so we remove the planktonic cell, okay, and we stain our biofilm with crystal violet, and then we resuspend the biofilm, okay, in the bulk liquid, okay, of the well, and then we mix, and then we measure OD 600 to estimate the biofilm aggregate. So this is the results from our prelim experiments. As you can see here, this is D beta M, okay, D beta M, the maltose. Okay, it works really well. Concentration wise, it's not very sensitive. Okay, it seems like we get pretty good reduction for both E. coli and Butida. This is for prevention. Okay, this is for prevention. For like E. coli, looking at like 90% prevention of formation. For Butida, we're looking at about like anywhere from 50 to 70%. So we were pretty happy. Not the case, okay, for the manopyroside, okay, me alpha mano. We see some, okay, reduction, but not as effective as the beta M. Same thing for mucin. Mucin very similar to the manopyranoside. We don't see great reduction, okay, in terms of biofilm formation prevention for both E. coli. We see a little bit of formation inhibition, but not major, not like the maltose, not like the beta M. So this is the data for the mixed culture. Okay, previously we looked at the Butida and E. coli. For mixed culture, we found that the concentration of 280 micromolar of DBM is the best, and for mixed culture, it does prevent 60 to roughly 70% of biofilm formation. Removal, not much. Okay, removal, not much. For manopyroside and the mucin, nope, they're not even helping. Not only that, they even create more formation. We believe that, okay, the cell could use these two as carbon sources. So we said, great, let's move on. Let's do something more realistic. Let's take the results, okay, and start doing something more realistic. We use this CDC biofilm reactor, or CBR, to simulate more realistic condition for membrane bioreactor unit. Okay, in this reactor, you can choose different type of surface. Okay, we use what's called coupons, and these coupons, okay, are available for different materials. So in our experiment, we get good results with 280 micromolar. D beta M, we said, well, we stick with that concentration. Let's study at that concentration. And then, okay, what happened is we tried 4 different surfaces of 4 different types of coupons. Okay, polyamide thin film composite, okay, PA-TFC, polyether cell phone, PES, okay, polyvinylidene difluoride, PVDF, and polyacrylonitrile. Okay, these 4 materials that we use are common materials for membrane surfaces. Okay, and we acquired coupons, okay, based on these different materials, and grow the biofilm, very similar to what we did with the well plate study. Okay, the prevention. Okay, we dose DBM at the same time as we inoculate the cell, okay, into the this reactor. Okay, for the removal, same thing. We let the biofilm grow 18 hours first, and then we dose the DBM, and we wait another 30 hours, okay, before we remove the biofilm for quantification. Of course, biofilm was removed, okay, sonically. We took the coupon and we sonicate to remove the biofilm. We homogenize, okay, and do the OD 600 reading, and then we also did the live dead assay to see how much dead cells got removed, or how much dead cell, okay, were prevented, and then how much dead cells were prevented. So results, as you can see here, this is for PVDF membrane. It worked really well for what? For prevention. You can see if you compare this column, which is the control, okay, for prevention, and this is the data for E. coli for 280. Okay, this is 280 dBm. Every experiment is 280 dBm. You can see the difference. Okay, the reduction, okay, in terms of biofilm formation. Okay, not much, okay, on the removal. This is control, and this is the removal data for E. coli, and this is for PVDF membrane, and this is for live cells. I'm sorry, this is also for live cells. You can see a lot of okay, prevention action. Not the case for removal. The last 2 bars, you can see that, okay, the difference between the control and the the experiment, they're not much different. Or even in some cases, okay, the experiment, okay, when we dose D beta M, we see even more biofilm. So not much, and this is true for both PVDF and PA-TFC membrane. Similar results for polyether cell phone, PES, and PAN membrane. Same thing here. We see the ability to prevent, okay, but not to remove. For the dead cells, okay, for dead cells, we don't see much different, not like the way we see with live cells. So that's why we believe that, well, it works better for live cells. So maybe that mechanism of adhesion blocking is really true. Okay, it's really true. Of course, we're gonna have to do some more experiment to prove that, and be in the middle of using different type of spectroscopy, or microscopy to prove that, you know, the beta M is doing exactly what it's supposed to do, is to block that adhesion, which has not been proven before, even in the medical field. All the paper that we've looked at, they believe that is the mechanism, but it has not been proven. So again, this is for the other 2 membrane, the PES and PAN. As you can see here, the difference are really minimal for the dead for the dead cells. This is the case that we quantify the biomass, okay, for PVDF and PA-TFC membrane. As you can see, okay, again, we see strong, okay, prevention, okay, strong prevention, okay, for E. coli and Putida, okay, a little weak prevention for wastewater. This is the other 2 membrane, very similar to what I just said. Okay, in the end, if we summarize, you can see that for prevention up here, really nice prevention, okay, for E. coli and Putida. Also for wastewater effluent. Okay, if we take the cell phone wastewater effluent of mixed culture, not as strong. The data is not as strong as E. coli and Putida, but we don't imagine that we can use D beta M as the only control agent, right? This would be part of the cocktail eventually, okay, for helping with biofilm formation control. Removal, like I said, there's some conflicting data coming between OD 600 and the live date. So we still not sure, but we don't think that the removal is possible, okay, with D beta M. So in summary, okay, with D beta M. So in summary, the beta M is a promising, it's the only adhesin that works. Okay, and we're not sure about the mechanism. We still have to work on that. It's a surfactant. It could do different things too. So we're still not sure. We have to look further into that. So future tasks, we're gonna run the actual membrane bioreactor and dose DBM and see what happened. And we're gonna investigate on the interaction between adhesin and the beta M. So since I cannot do this live, I cannot answer any questions right now because I'm not present. So that's my email. In case you have any questions, please email me. Thank you again for your attention, and thank you for having me here. Bye-bye.
Sawadee krap, ladies and gentlemen. Today I'm very happy to present the place of distributed system and distributed algorithms in health and telemedicine. I'm the Professor Lapeyre from the University of Bourgogne-Franche-Comté in France, and my research is in the FEMTO-ST CNRS Institute. After my introduction, I would like to introduce the CSCW domain, Computer-Supported Collaborative Work domain, and the links with distributed systems. And in my second part, I will develop the distributed algorithms and my conclusion. First of all, what is exactly telemedicine, telediagnosis? What is exactly? For example, a patient arrived in Phuket Hospital for a stroke. A resident is in the emergency, and this resident needs the help of a neurologist, for example, in Bangkok. If my patient is a very important person, perhaps a king, a president, we can add another node with a staff of experts. So in this kind of application, we have different media, the discrete media and the continuous media. For the discrete media, you can cut the media in different packets and send to the network. It's easy to manage the bandwidth. You can cut the text and you can create packets with images. With continuous media, you have to send a flow of data. So it's very difficult to manage the bandwidth. And for example, with video, if you lose some images, perhaps it's not a problem. I can work with 20 frames per second, it's not a problem. But if I lose some packets of audio stream, it's a problem because your message becomes incomprehensible. And the synchronization between audio and video is very important. Other non-exhaustive parameters list, data consistency. I will explain the second part with my algorithms. If you work on an image, for example, for diagnosis, if we share the same patient, we have to share the same images to produce telediagnosis, a collaborative telediagnosis. The network point of view is very important. We have to manage the bandwidth. We have to guarantee the functionality of our systems. If the doctors are working together in real time, it's different. If they are working in asynchronous mode, the fault tolerance is a very important point. For example, if you work for telediagnosis in emergency, you need to have the fault tolerance. So now I define the CSCW domain. First of all, during the 1990 years,
we develop as computer scientists some application to propose the collaborative work, but we develop to have a work transparently for users. And it's not the good way. If I would like that all of you are working together, I have to give you the tools to have really a collaborative work. The awareness is really important. The CSCW is defined in two parts. The first part is social sciences with psychology, linguistics, sociology, ethnology. For example, if I develop an application for Thailand or for French, it's not the same. The hierarchy is not the same in hospital in France and in Thailand. The organization is not the same. Language. So we have to adapt our development due to the social sciences. The second part is computer science with network, artificial intelligence. The assistant professor Julien Riet will develop this part at 4 p.m. And distributed system, my interest in the research. So different level have been proposed from the collective work. For example, in this conference, collective work, all of the members of the committee of this conference are working together for this conference. Cooperative work, the members of the same session are working in cooperative work. They are working together, but we have different articles, different talk, different presentation during one session. Collaborative work, now we are working with co-authors. They are working on the same paper. They share the paper. They are working really very closely together on the same paper. It's collaborative work. And we can add some intelligent agents to help people to share and to help people to collaborate. So from the cooperation, only to share a topic, to the collaboration, we have more interactions with the awareness. So it's very important in our domain. Now we have to give some characterization of the collaboration. The first is a degree of synchronization. From the synchronous collaboration in real time to the asynchronous collaboration, and we can change the variability of synchronous mode. You know, if you would like only to work with synchronous mode, it's very costly in terms of communication, and we use a very large bandwidth. So we have to manage this bandwidth. The granularity is very linked with the synchronous mode. The granularity is the size of packets we have to send on the network. And the granularity is defined especially by the with model. What you see is what I see. And I'll explain later the organization, really the model of distributed with. So we can represent our applications on this graph. In abscissa, the degree of synchronization; in ordinate, the degree of collaboration. The first layer, single user. The middle, a side application like aparté defined by Villemur, and the full distributed multimedia conferencing systems. In telemedicine, we are working generally with a side mode. These applications are working on different architectures and with different HCI, human-computer interface. The human-computer interface first was developed with the WIS model, and we can release this model in 4 dimensions: space, time, population, and congruence of views. First of all, we propose some trivial interface with a color per user. And now a model has been defined, the Clover model, with the first leaf, the co-production. For example, here you can see the telepointer with the color of users. The communication, for example, FTP channel. Conversation, here you have the practitioner with the color, and the color is corresponding with the color of telepointers. The coordination, very important. For example, here, the patient cannot hear the diagnosis, and the practitioner are working together, but separately with the patient. And the regulation, you can change the granularity, you can change hierarchy and something like that, the frame per second and something like that. And the architecture of this kind of application, we can work on centralized architecture, on replicated architecture, and let's use the hybrid. Here, you have an application with 3 nodes and a center node, the core, centralized, and all messages are recovered on this node. So this node can order, it's very easy to order all of these messages. It changes messages. But if this node, very important, disappear, the system is out. So with the fault tolerance point of view, it's very bad. With the full distributed, so replicated architecture, if a node disappears, the other node can work. But it's very difficult to manage the consistency of data. So from the beginning of my talk, I spoke about consistency, but what does it mean? For example, the practitioner 1 is working, and the practitioner 2 is working remotely. They are working on the same patient for a telediagnosis, and they are using a cerebral CT scan. The practitioner 1 would like to apply an edge detection, and the practitioner 2 would like to apply a thresholding. But these operations are not commutative. So the system finally is inconsistent because the practitioners are working with different images. They cannot work together and collaborate to have only one diagnosis. So our system has to guarantee a unique order of operation on image, operation on data. So we are using a formalism, a time axis, for example, for PI, an operator reading PI can read 1 on X. PI can write 2 on X, for example, X++. And finally, it's trivial with only one processor. PI can only read 2 on X. But now, if I would like to study this example, 2 practitioners. The first one open an image of nevus. The image is transmitted. On P1, the practitioner would like to apply a gray color filter. This filter is sent. And they would like to apply edge detection and thresholding. System is not consistent. So with this, we can develop this execution history, the reading, and with the writing, we can write the picture on the workspace, applied write the gray color level on workspace, the edge detection on workspace, and the thresholding on workspace by P2 and by P1. So if I would like to create this history, first of all, the practitioner 1 would like to open the picture on workspace, transmitted, would like to apply the gray color level, transmitted, and the operation, edge detection, and thresholding. So our protocol have to define only one order. The first or the second is not a problem, but we have to guarantee the unique order of operation. So in my team, we have developed the Pilgrim algorithm. It's a token on a ring. Here you have 4 nodes, and the token arrive on a node and give the change of memory during the ring and recover the change from the site on the token. I can show you. So the token arrive on yellow site, give the change, and recover the work of yellow site to send to the other. So if you would like to develop protocols for telemedicine, you have to prove the quality of your protocol. So we used 3 methods for the validation. The first is a tool, the XPin tool, to validate that there is no deadlock during the execution. Here you have 4 time axes for P1, P2, P3, P4. And the Pilgrim, the token is sent. And with XPin, we prove the execution. After that, we have to prove the synchronization of our tasks with the P2net representation. In this example, only 3 nodes. And finally, with finite state automaton, we proved two theorems, the mutual exclusion theorems and the liveliness theorems. The Pilgrim algorithm is used in Covalia, a startup company, for telediagnosis in different French hospitals. The Covalia application is in use. The distributed algorithms are also used to manage the plasticity, the adaptability of HCI, distributed HCI. For example, this HCI is used on a server. If you would like to use the same HCI for a node with a smartphone, you have to adapt the interface. For example, with internal Java frame, for example, and you adapt with different level your interface. You can also adapt this interface for augmented reality glasses, like that. For example, Professor Thomas Grégory, an orthopedist in Bobigny, used this kind of glasses for his survey. Another use of distributed algorithm is for the traceability, but we have problem with language, with concepts, with medical concepts to propose a good way for traceability. And ontology are the good way. For example, a patient has a heart attack at home. The general practitioner arrives at home and records heart attack. The emergency arrives and the emergency physician records infarction. The resident at the emergency department records cardiac infarction. And finally, the medical doctor at cardiology department records myocardial infarction. So with this system, the same patient, this patient, has 4 diseases during one day, but really only one, an attack, an heart attack. So with ontology, we propose a knowledge base that link all of these concepts. And if we use ontology, we can have a real traceability in telediagnosis. And the traceability is very important with different point of view, with the forensic point of view, the experience gain, and the teaching point of view. So I really think that health and telemedicine is a good way for the future medicine all over the world. And especially with the COVID pandemic, it's very important to propose tools for telediagnosis. In my team, we are working on distributed algorithm, distributed systems, web services, touch of network with Internet of Things, IoT, adaptability of HCI, traceability, and at 4 p.m., Julien Henriet will explain exactly how we can use artificial intelligence in telemedicine. Thank you very much for your attention. Kopkun krap. And if you have some question, you can send me an email at this address, and I can give you, it's a pleasure for me to give you answer and to have discussion with you by mail. Thank you so much again. Bye.
Thank you, Professor Tanet Satin, for kind introduction. I'm Atsushi Fukuda from Nihon University. Also, I'm honorary advisor of the Ienc. First of all, I'm very honored to be invited to the Konkei University International Engineering Conference of 2021. And so I understand that this session related to the civil engineering and the construction technology. However, I am in the transportation engineering field, so I basically talk about topics related to transportation engineering today. And my title is the Digital Transformation in Transportation and Logistics, especially post-COVID-19 era. Now we face to the serious problems, especially logistic industries in Japan. Faced to the very increment of the small lot deliveries. Nowadays, people easily send small packages from the house to house, home to office. So those dramatically increase number of the small lot deliveries. On the other hand, the population going to decrease in Japan. According to this, of course, we have a shortage of the labor. It makes serious problem for our industry, not only logistics industry, but also other industry. By these changes, so now big burden on our environment, especially the working environment in the logistic industry, become very bad. Now, COVID-19 hit to our society, and this accelerates these changes very much. People more order the small packages, as to the everything by delivery, so that also affect to the logistic industry. As you can see, this is a change of the cargos in air, truck on the left-hand side. As you can see, that number of home delivery handled by the air and trucks dramatically increased recently. And behind this, of course, electric commerce very progress. So people use internet and people easily can order anything through the internet. That very affect to the amount of the commodity flow. So this figure showed the shortage of truck driver, shown by the points. So you can see that by the year, the number of the driver decrease a lot. That becomes a serious problem for the logistic industry right now. To solve this problem, people now start to talk about digital transformation, DX. According to the guideline of our government, about the DX is that companies respond to drastic changes in the business environment, utilize data and the digital technologies to understand the needs of the customers and the society, and transform products, service, and the business models. At the same time, change the business itself, organizing process, corporate culture, and establish competitive advantage. So, as you can see clearly, what is the DX? It means that we introduced digital technologies and we change the business style by this DX. So to put it simply, DX is the solution to social and corporate issues using new digital technology such as AI and IoT. We talk about digital, so actually there is a different level of the digital. So maybe first level is digitization. Just introduce digital equipment to our society. And the digitalization is a spread digitalization throughout the process and create new value. And the digital transformation means that to produce activities that change the business model and the corporate culture and have a social impact. Important thing is that not just to introduce the computers, internet, AI or IoT to our society. We have to change style of our business. So we have to change our culture and we have to change the style of business. That is a digital transformation. So there are many, many examples already in our industry. For example, construction of effective warehouse system, digitization of the product management, utilization of automatic truck driving and drone delivery, optimizing work conditions by using AI, reduction of delivery risk by accumulating and analyzing customer information, and improving business efficiency by optimizing delivery route by using AI. So this is an example of the efficient warehouses. So you can see the many robots moving around to store their lots to the cache, or sometimes they use a drone inside of the warehouses. So there is no labor, so automatically delivers those their stocks. So these machines can pick up and bring to the customer. This is another example of the utilization of automatic trucks driving. This is a photo. We had some kind of experiment on the highway. So now 4 trucks drive together. Actually, other three trucks just to follow the front truck. Or this is a totally autonomous vehicle, so without a driver and drive away. So this is also very important because the shortage of the labor. Drone delivery also become a little bit useful in our society, especially remote area in Japan. So we think that those machines can transport many cargos to the local areas. Nowadays, many senior people stay isolatedly to the countryside. So it's very difficult to deliver by truck or other vehicles. So maybe drone can easily transport to them. And as I already explained in the warehouses. So anyway, this is image of the change of the business model in logistic industry. This is the existing logistics system. So we produce at the factory, send to the warehouses, and ship to the retail shops, and then people come and buy. That is our supply chain until now. But if we introduce digital transformation, so people directly order to the factory, so there is a delivery platform. So this change the production side and the shipping method and consumption. So change our business model by the digital transformation. So nowadays, Japanese logistic company like Kuroneko Yamato, which is one of the biggest truck transporter in Japan, they also look at these changes. So they try to merge with the EC companies. EC means the electronic commerce companies. So they combine their business with EC company so they can change their business model. Of course, the truck transporter have information of customers, so many ID know the users, and they can know where they can ship. But at the same time, if they can merge with EC company, they can comprehensively analyze their information, and then they can know from upstream to downstream what the people would like to buy and what they have to transport from where to where. So they can optimize their logistics network. So this changed our business very much. As you know, this situation maybe will be accelerated by the current situation by COVID-19. This is a situation in Japan, Thailand, or Indonesia we analyze. So we had many lockdown or asked the people stop to go out, and this affects to our daily behavior. Of course, people stop to go out, stop to go office or school, but on the other hand, people go shop near the house or order more food or daily stuffs. People have to order in home. So food delivery service nowadays become one of the very popular, as you know, like Uber or any other similar delivery service, very popular all over the world now. So people easily click by the mobile phone and can order anything from the house. That change our commodity flow too. Of course, from the before, we have like a vendor shop, or this is a little bit modern, but anyway, like a food car all over the world come to the office, and this is very popular in Thailand. People enjoy the lunch or any snacks like this. But after this, so now many industries think maybe we can modernize those systems. So this is the delivery service named Neuro in US. That also delivery service by Walmart. So like a big supermarket start to deliver their products near the houses like this using autonomous vehicles, no driver. So automatically those cars approach to your neighbor, so you can go and pick up, or you can select and you can buy. In Japan, like a Toyota also try to start such kind of the service named Monet together with the mobile phone company SoftBank. So they cooperate. So it means that they manage the information of user, then merge with like a vehicle technology. Then they provided such kind of service. So of course, key technology is big data analysis. And this is an image, very nice. So like this, maybe small clinic and a shoe shop, restaurant, some barbers, those come to your house. So no necessary to go out. If you need some kind of service, you just click. So those service approach to your house. So you can easily select any service. So maybe like this change not only our commodity flow, I mean the logistics, but also our movement itself. As you know, now we discuss about mobility as a service. So this is a concept that all modes can combine into one system and controlled by the information technology. So we can select smartly any kind of modes, and we can, of course, easily combine. So we can select which mode is better, how to go. So any mode as a one system, that is a mobility as a mobility service. So this also one of the digital transformation in transport sector. Those change also coming to our society. This is one of the trial in Japan. So near the railway station, introduce car sharing and introduce personal mobility, on-demand bus, and high-grade commercial buses like this. So different kind of the service meet with personal demand are provided, and we can book everything through the internet easily and can use. That is the image of our new transportation system in the future. We already started many trials. This is cities that which had some kind of the new mobility service trial in Japan. In urban area, in red and the green area, in the tourist place, and the blue area in depopulated area. The situations are quite different. And on these technologies, key is autonomous vehicle, of course, or connected car. This technology is very necessary for the digital transformation. So we already start level 3 car, and those maybe connect to the internet, and we can realize mobility as a service. And another technology is a digital twin. This is one of the key in the civil engineering field. We would like to test many kind of the technology which related to the information technologies. We should have like a digital twin. So it means man-made urban area, and put everything in this model and simulate and feed back to the actual urban area. So we can test every technologies and 3D model, and then we feed back, and we maybe can improve. This is another key technology of digital transformation in civil engineering field. So I would like to conclude my presentation. First, ultimate goal of digital transformation is not just digitization, but to bring customer innovation to organization and the systems. Second, the promotion of digital transformation will not only improve the efficiency of logistics systems and the transportation systems, but will also bring about major changes in the lifestyle of the customers themselves. In particular, customers' countermeasures against the COVID-19 influence many accelerated this change. The promotion of the digital transformation is likely to play an important role in the realize of the smart city in the future. So anyway, in the civil engineering, even in the civil engineering field, computer science and the digital technologies are key issue, and we have to bring more AI and IoT and make everything smart. and this will change our field. Thank you very much.